Operation GCD with an Appalachian grin. Adventures and shenanigans, we're diving right in. Out in the holler where the secrets creep, garbage can dudes digging mighty deep. Secret societies, shadows in the pines. Operation GCD of American rebels design. Double J searching deep in his brain hole, past layers of melted hops and bone resin. From cults to cover-ups, we're talking about all of that. So watch your sixth friend and the truth we trust. The world's a puzzle, grunge rock ain't what it seems. Ancient alien cargo cults haunt the moon's pale beams. Cincinnati schemers, history's a haze. Double J's on the mic, lighting things ablaze. Operation GCD with an Appalachian grin. Adventures and shenanigans, we're diving right in. Join us on the journey and enjoy the show. Thanks for joining us to get a little GCD. Yeah, the world's a puzzle, grunge rock ain't what it seems. Ancient alien cargo coats haunt the moon's pale beam. Cincinnati schemers, history's a haze. Double J's on the mic, lighting things ablaze. Hell, the world's a puzzle, grunge rock ain't what it seems. Ancient alien cargo cults haunt the moon's pale beams. Cincinnati schemers, history's a haze. Double J's on the mic, lighting things ablaze. Double J's on the mic, lighting things ablaze.
Boom! Howdy, folks. Your host, Double J, back here, coming at you live from my studio / RV dining room, located directly inside America. Welcome back again, folks of the interwebs. Once again, JJ Vance here, host of Operation GCD, and perhaps more notably, not the vice president. Anyhow, I will be your pilot and navigator for tonight's shenanigan-infused journey into the mind of this particular garbage can dude. And folks of the interwebs, I'm not going to lie to you, got a real barn burner here on deck for y'all tonight. An occult and or esoteric review of the 1988 cinematic masterpiece, Twins. You know, that late 80s comedy where they starring the son of a Nazi with some, full frontal, right in your face hole Nazi genetic experiment business going on there. So we got that on deck here. And so thanks for joining me here tonight, folks, to get a little GCD. And we got our guests, the Cosmic Peaches, not Bill Colby. Not Bill Colby, the host of the Conspiracy Playtime, and Julia, the Cosmic Peach. Welcome back for your first time on Operation GCD.
It really is my first time.
That's the game I like to play with Julia, since the first time I forgot, I'm like, you're right, this is not your first time. Or the second time she was on, I was like, you're right.
She did the same thing to me.
No, I did not.
Yeah, okay.
Well, sir, welcome to your first time on Operation GCD. Would you like to introduce your podcast and yourself, please?
My name's Colby. I like everything conspiratorial, esoteric, occultist, blah, 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 all the stuff that JJ's into. And Conspiracy Playtime, you can see that anywhere, YouTube, Spotify, all the podcast players.
Nice. And Julia, welcome back, ma'am, for your first time on Operation GCD.
Thanks for having me for my first time.
Absolutely. What's the new at Cosmic Peach podcast?
Well, actually, I've been working with you on the program Serial Killers. I feel like we have a follow-up in the works, maybe for a little bit more Edward Wayne Edwards.
Oh, yes, ma'am. There's always more room for Ed.
Yeah. And Colby and I are actually working on, we did I think a 3-part series. I did a 3-part series on sleep paralysis, and he was on the last one. And then we decided to kind of expand on that and do a mini series on weird mental illness. And we decided to call it the Conspirasylum. So that's something fun.
That's unique. I like that. So what kind of mental illness we talking here? Like schizophrenias, or what we talking
I want to talk about like all of it, like even going back into time, were people crazy? Were they shamans? Were they seeing into the other realms, or did they just need a straitjacket?
I like it. Time travel and mental illness. That's good stuff.
Thanks for having us, though.
No, absolutely. I always enjoy our serial killer conversations as much as I can enjoy such a thing. And that last one we did was a real barn burner. So no, I appreciate you joining me on that one as well.
Yeah, that was a barn burner.
And I mean, while we're on the topic, and it's very fitting for tonight's conversation, and it's typically a game I like to play here on my Friday show, and you're probably familiar with it there, Julia. But it's a game I like to play called "Who is Your Daddy and What Does He Do?"
You tell me, who is your daddy and what does he do?
Thoughts, questions, suggestions?
Well, I know I saw Ted Beehole on the screen, but I don't know who that other guy was.
It was me.
That was actual Bill Colby, not to be confused with not Bill Colby, your husband.
Right.
That was not me.
That was
not me.
Not Bill Colby. That was Bill Colby.
Yeah. So on the theory that you, much like myself, as we've discussed and got along these tracks by way of Dave McGowan, I often joke that he radicalized me on these subjects, across the spectrum of conspiracy, culture, that is. But Program to Kill, his thesis was the Phoenix program come home, right?
Correct.
Yeah, and there's a lot of holes and discrepancies in Bundy's early story. So you don't really know, other than the grandmother and some military guy that came in and was his stepdad there for a while. But it does probably go back further than that with him.
Well, that is an accurate assessment, sir. I salute you on your knowledge of Ted Theodore Bundy. I like to call that photograph Bill and Ted's Murderous Adventure.
Perfect.
Oh my God, that is perfect. Let's see it again. I want to see their faces.
I will bring up you want to see the video, or do you just want to see a picture? I'll play a video.
I want to see whatever you got, because that's interesting to me.
Yeah, Ted Bundy's a favorite over here.
Ted Beehole. Can't live without him.
All right. So I'm talking your language is what you're saying.
Yep.
Let me see what I got here for you. Bill and Ted's Murderous Adventure, right there.
There is quite a bit of a similarity with like the bone structure.
I mean, wouldn't that be wild if the guy who was the head of the Phoenix program and brought it home, and in regards to the thesis presented by McGowan, which I think he's spot on, wouldn't it be wild that his son, the biological son, is one of the most prolific serial killers amongst that program?
I don't think it would be wild.
I think it would.
I meant that in a very sarcastic manner. I'm glad you picked up on that, sir.
Because didn't Ted, he went to California for a while?
Yeah, his training grounds was that Santa Barbara area where after the Manson shit went down, there was so many fucking occultist type murders going on in those mountains surrounding that area. And that was around the time that he was down there too, before he really took off in Seattle.
For sure. Would you believe that he went to law school? I mean, possibly just like his father, right? Bill Colby, graduate of Columbia Law.
Wow.
So in 1946, if I may give you a little background, you were spot on with your. He's got a very murky background, but what we do know, the known knowns of Ted Bundy, right? You know what I mean? When I'm talking about psychopaths, I like to think like a psychopath.
As we know, there are known knowns. There are things we know we know. We also know there are known unknowns. That is to say, we know there are some things we do not know. But there are also unknown unknowns. The ones we don't know, we don't.
Donald Rumsfeld, he's a fucking psychopath and a criminal, but he's onto something there. And the stuff we know about Ted Bundy is very interesting because his mother gives birth to him. I think it's November 26th, 1946, in the Unwed Mothers Hospital of Burlington, Vermont.
Supposedly.
Well, I'm under at least some level of, some concept of finding that to be a fact. That was what was known amongst the nurses of that hospital as well. My great aunt was a nurse at that hospital.
Really?
Yeah.
So he grew up believing that his birth mother was his sister,
Right.
much like Jack Nicholson,
Mm-hmm.
who I think actually played Ted Bundy for a while there. If you watch these Colorado interviews that he gave when he was incarcerated and wearing the orange jumper, I think that's Jack Nicholson. And they're similar.
All right.
Their stories, even McGowan in Weird Scenes makes that tie.
Because they all, Ted Bundy and Jack Nicholson do not have birth certificates.
Yeah. Well, he's got a birth certificate, but it doesn't have a father. It doesn't have a father.
Well, in The Shining, it was supposed to be a red Volkswagen.
Yeah, Stephen King's book was the red Volkswagen. They changed it to the
Yellow.
yellow one, and that's Nicholson in there, and that's before even, any of the Bundy stuff started going down. Well, unless he was playing and training in Santa Barbara Hills area.
Did you listen to my episode with JJ when I talked about Patrick Kearney, the government cheese episode?
Not yet.
Okay, so he was also a prolific serial killer in and around the same area as government cheese.
Government cheese and beef burrito.
Bell Beefer.
Oh, Bell Beefer.
And
Bell Beefer.
he also had a yellow Volkswagen. So it's like a weird.
I did not know that.
So Patrick Kearney, Ted Bundy, they did it in The Shining.
Son of Sam.
Wow.
Yellow bug? Really?
Yep.
What?
Seen it numerous sites in the Son of Sam. If
That's
y'all need some of those files, I think I got some of that on the Maury Terry stuff. If not, I'll reach out to Jonathan Mitchell, and he certainly has the locations of those things. I mean, a lot of the files are on a website. The People versus David Berkowitz, a lot of the Terry stuff.
Yeah.
Not all of it, but a lot of it. I like where you're at there with Jack Nicholson. I mean, he's a major process figure. He's a, BFFs with one of my favorite characters in life, old cocaine Bob Evans, not to be confused with Bob Evans, the sausage king of Ohio, the restaurant guy.
There's a lot of Bob Evans restaurants in the town in Ohio where I grew up. And I thought they were everywhere until I moved away. And I was like,
nope.
So I guess Cracker Barrel is the Bob Evans of the rest of the United States. Just Ohio has Bob Evans.
You got to go. Yeah, they're out of Del Rio, I think, down there by Athens is the initial.
You ever been to one?
Bob Evans farm.
It's supposed to be
It's
like
kind of creepy.
style.
If you go to the initial farm, they have like this weird museum to the Wizard of Oz. It's weird.
What?
Yeah.
No, that's not good, JJ.
That's what I said too. They even had the red slippers in there. I'm like, what is going on in here?
No, this is not good. That means they're serving human meat.
Well, what did I call that? Del Rio? I meant Rio Grande. There shouldn't be anything named anything like that in Ohio. That's a Texas name. That's a Texas name.
Right.
No, I agree. There's a lot of creepy stuff around the whole motif there with that. But in regards to Ted Bundy, would you believe that Bill Colby was in and around Burlington, Vermont in the time frame in which Ted Bundy's mother was impregnated?
That's
Makes sense. I mean,
would you have ever put that together?
no, I mean, I'd never heard this information about the possible
I'm going to be honest with you all, I inadvertently came across these matters because I was looking into, I got a real, but stalking Bill Colby here as of late, you know what I mean? As Colby's queers with all these programs come home, be it Michael Aquino or all those Nazis in Idaho or, you name it, all the money laundering it's connected to. Because, back when Nugan Bank failed back in 1980, the Australian bank, huge financial collapse, Bill Colby was sitting on the board of that bank. And one of his Green Beret special forces, as I dubbed them, Colby's queers, no offense, sir, not in regards to their sexual preferences, but the odd and strange, outcomes and natures they've left on society. And nonetheless, this is an ongoing enterprise, which in large part, Jeffrey Epstein was in this enterprise, it seems. As I've been studying the financial stuff even further and all these connections, you can't separate Jeffrey Epstein from Iran-Contra, but nonetheless, as studying these things further, I was looking at Bill Colby's history, and I didn't realize that he went to high school in Burlington, Vermont. He's not from Burlington. I think he's from Minnesota. His father retires from the Army, Colonel Colby, and then he takes a job as the ROTC commander at University of Vermont in Burlington. This is a time when this is a very small town. That's my grandfather grew up there. In fact, he graduated high school, Bill Colby. And that's something else I recently discovered.
Shit. And then he knocks up Ted Behole's mom.
Yeah. Well, so as a result of finding out all those things, I'm like, well, how long was Colonel Colby in town here, right? So he's there till 48. He takes a new job in 48. Bill comes back from the war and enrolls in Columbia Law School, but his parents live 7 hours north in Burlington, Vermont. And I've made that drive many times from New York City to Burlington. It's a trek, but it's a very common trek for a lot of folks. And I have no doubt that Bill would have gone to see his folks at some point in time there. And I'm just saying it puts him in close proximity of a guy who was a rising star in Republican politics and in Colby's Phoenix program, Come Home, the serial killers.
He went to visit his parents and he got some hot, wet, strange. And then
that's what I'm thinking. That's my running theory.
That's what
right?
I'm thinking.
I mean, it does bear a striking resemblance. It's a man we know nothing about is who his daddy is, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, it makes sense, of course. Like, it's one of the most prolific serial killers of all time. Of course, that's who his dad would be.
And you call him Beehole Bundy? Is that what your nickname for him is?
Ted Beehole.
Ted Beehole. Well, that's fantastic. That I had no idea, but that's great. That's fantastic.
It's one of her favorite words. So
yeah,
many people.
I love talking about beehole stuff. Oh, look, somebody put a comment in the
nice.
chat.
Thank you, sir. Yep. That's Laz has always got some good fun facts there. And apparently Bundy had a guy. There was a guy with Bundy's alleged father's last name living in that apartment complex with Berkowitz. Interesting.
Shut the fuck up.
Interesting. Yeah, and that's a pretty nice little apartment building. Berkowitz, he wasn't in the slums. He wasn't roughing it. He had $100,000. Speaking of things I don't think have ever been effectively explained, he had over $100,000 in the bank at the time of his arrest. What the fuck did David Berkowitz do to get $100,000?
What?
It's in the court record. It's in the court record with the settling. So all of his So what the shootings were, he gets arrested in 78. Am I off a year or is it 77?
I don't know the exact year.
You want me to
Well,
Google it?
here's the deal. I'm not gonna lie to you. Someone ordered the apocalypse here, and we've had, tornadoes, flash floods, storms, the heat's getting to me, man. I'm a half ginger. I can't be dealing with this kind of heat.
Trust
let me look
I feel you.
Let me look this up before I misquote what year this was, because I want to say it was 2 years after his arrest that the victims sue him and his estate for money, right? Yeah, so that's August 10th of 77. That's what I thought. So I want to say July of 79 is the lawsuit from his victims, and in that lawsuit they divvied out whatever his estate had, and he had over $100,000 in cash, and no one has ever explained how he had over $100,000 in cash, in his bank.
That was a lot for back then. I mean, it's a lot now, but that was like...
Yeah, for cash, that'd be a lot now.
That's like $500,000 in today's
half-
money. I'll give you the exact
story.
estimate, but off the top of my brain hole, that's $500,000 in today's cash.
What the fuck? So he was getting paid, obviously, by the Program to Kill Academy.
I mean, he's raking in some cash somehow. Yeah, that's $5.3 million. Just kidding. 500. I told you the heat's a real bitch. $530,000.
Oh, you were right though. You said $500,000. You were dead on.
Yeah. I mean, imagine one of these. I don't know. Well, how about the fella in Idaho with the Nazi Satanist, werewolf Satanist father, outlaw biker guy father, the one that allegedly shot up these firefighters, right? He imagine if he just had $500,000 in the bank. I got a better one. Remember Nicholas Cruz from the Parkland situation? He had a few $1 million in the bank. No one fucking said a word about that.
What the fuck?
Yeah, his adopted father had passed away a few years prior and left him in quite a worthy estate. It's since been sealed, but you can find this. The case has been sealed. But his father was the business partner of the agent for Dr. Julius Erving, not a real doctor, the basketball player.
Well,
so he was the highest. He was the highest paid player before Jordan or LeBron or everybody. So this dude was rigging some sports agent cash amongst other things.
Well, wasn't there a weird connection with what's the kid's name that did the Aurora, Colorado shooting? Holmes?
Yeah.
Wasn't his dad and the dad of Cruz in some kind of financial scandal together?
Yeah, what you're saying makes a lot of sense to me.
This is something I heard recently. I don't even remember where, but I never verified it. So I thought you might know that. But anyway, it was, Cruz and Holmes, their dads.
It was Adam Lanza's dad, Peter Lanza.
That's Adam Lanza. So Lanza was the word that I don't say because you're on YouTube right now.
What?
Oh yeah, that's probably a good call, dude. That's still a very spooky situation.
Think about the thing Alex Jones got wrapped up in, that one.
Oh,
I don't want to get JJ kicked off.
I've gone way. I'm from. That's where I'm from. I was born there in Fairfield County.
Well, we talked about it when we were with Lola a little bit, but we'll see if it gets kicked off YouTube. I haven't put it out yet.
So go ahead.
Somebody in the comments said "handy sook."
Yep, that's Jonah.
That's what we'll refer to it as.
So there was a lot to be said about that. It got swept under the rug. So Peter L., if you will, he was the head of he was a partner at one of the big three accounting firms on Wall Street, Ernst & Young. And then he left that job and took a job as the VP of finance at the headquarters of General Electric. And this is at a time when General Electric folks like former Wall Streeter turned journalist dude Charles Ortel, who outed the Clinton Foundation. He went real deep into the Clinton Foundation, outing that as a fraud. But he would point out before he did that, he outed General Electric as a fraud. So Lanza's father was the head of finance for a multi-billion-dollar global corporation that was outed as a fraud in the years preceding that event.
The fuck?
It's almost like the same recipe as the military intelligence kids becoming like pop culture icons. Now you see like the financier, scientific community, their kids are the ones who are all getting fucking thrown into the mix.
It's funny you say that. Because isn't that kind of the deal with that is a repeating pattern we do see. Thomas Crook's folks were psychologists. My former almost PR rep and stalker who wanted to stab me a bunch and wear my skin as a human coat, Buffalo Jared Revisa. He's from an infamous sports hypnosis family, so these things are, they seem to be repeating patterns, messing with folks' heads,
Yeah, and just like sacrificing your kid to the cause because who knows what kind of dirt they have on you or leverage.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that's a good point, sir. And how much do some folks care about their kids, I guess, is the next question.
Yeah.
Not a lot. I feel like
let's look at tonight's stars of one of tonight's films. Go ahead, Julia. Go ahead.
Oh, no, I was just saying they don't care about their kids.
Is that Arnold's son? That's not the one from The Maid.
Well, I was going to address that. I'm glad you're way ahead of me, sir. I like where your head's at. You know, and let's figure we might as well formally address some of these matters here when we're talking about Nazi genetic experiments starring in a film by a Nazi son. And then, you know, he marries a Kennedy. You know, this is his Kennedy son, right? This is Maria Shriver's kid. But you mean to tell me that there's a maid living in that home? Notice how much they look alike. I mean, I could see that's his son to a certain degree, right? He seems to resemble more Shriver and Kennedy, but you know,
he's kind of a mix.
Yeah, I could see some Arnold traits there. They got the same eyes and brow ridge, right? They got that, you know, Cro-Magnon man brow ridge, something going on.
He's got that great Terminator hairline going on too.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and he's got the candy hair that'll be gone in 10 years. You know, that's how it goes for those boys.
I wonder if he'll start talking like this at some point. Because they all do.
Tell me that this kid is living in their home for 13 years before it's formally addressed that that's a young Arnold. Come on now.
See, he looks more like him than the other boy.
Way more like him, right?
I think so.
So the maid, his mother, and Arnold, you know, apparently he banged the maid, right? And then they had this guy. And they're living in the Arnold house. And like no one, like they're sitting, you mean to tell me they're sitting around at breakfast and none of the kids are like, hey, that Mexican kid looks a lot like dad. You know
so the story was she had a kid and it wasn't his and they just played on. I don't know the details of it until it came out.
Yeah, but so this is Mexican Arnold all day, dude. All day.
So he was living with the family.
Yeah.
And then
they didn't formally, you know, address it publicly until he was 13. So I wonder, like, I want to know what went on before then. Or were they just sitting around and like, hey man, that Mexican kid looks a lot like dad. You know what I mean?
Why does he talk like this?
I saw him benching 350. He's 6 years old. That ain't right.
Oh my God, there's no way. Like I would know.
Well, I'm sure it was, you know, known on a small level.
Dude, I'd kick that kid in the fucking head if I thought you were.
You know, and it's certainly possible, but you know, publicly they were wanting to maintain the appearance that's what caused the divorce. But you know, but it begs the question: did they really know? Was just like was folks ignoring this till it just became a thing? We're like, wait a second, we just got to address this now.
So, what year was this particular photo taken?
This is more recent years. This is his high school graduation.
So this is like, well, you can call me dad now.
Oh, I think he's 25, I think now. This was
okay. I remember when it broke, but the time frame's a little fuzzy.
Does he go by the last name Schwarzenegger?
No, he goes by Joseph Bania. Looks like
so
he's
he took the mom's
pretty big
name?
dude though, 6'2", right? I mean, he's got some good size, not quite as big as his dad.
So it wasn't like the movie that we're decoding tonight where the Kennedy brothers, the tall one, and the Mexican brothers, Danny DeVito.
I mean, on the subject of all these things, Kennedy, and, you know, because again, you know, not that kid, he ain't Kennedy, but the other one is, right? Patrick, right? And, you know, it's interesting because there seems to be a lot of folks in that family that don't have the right dad. Like JFK Jr., you can't convince me that John F. Kennedy Sr. is his father. You know, that's the son of Aristotle Onassis. I don't know who you're kidding. You know what I mean?
Let me see. You got a side by side?
So they were...
Yeah, let me bring up a photo for you.
They were intermingling even back then, huh?
Oh, she was known to have affairs with him. Yeah, for sure. That's what I'm saying. Like it was like publicly like tabloid material that she was having an affair with Onassis already.
Oh my God. And this whole time I thought he looked like John.
I never thought he looked like him.
Really?
Yeah, let me
Is this guy handsome who I'm about to see?
Well, in his younger years.
I saw him after he married Jackie post.
Oh, so he was ugly then?
Well, he was old. Yeah, I don't know what he looked like when he was younger.
I don't know what I did with my my side by side. But let me pull some photos. No, I mean he's an old Greek dude. They much like old Greek women. They look the same as old Greek men. You know what I mean?
Oh God!
And wasn't he gay?
Onassis.
Yeah.
Or Kennedy. Kennedy, I think was a little bit of both, right?
Yeah, for sure, all those guys. But I just heard Onassis. This was a whole like beard situation.
Well, here's the thing. I mean, that's certainly possible, right? He looks, you know, especially in this photo, he looks a little bit sweet cheeks.
Oh
Let me
boy.
get this one up here for you. I had it side by side because I was just going over this yet. No, that ain't gonna work because that's too tiny. But this is
Oh
yeah.
my god. Oh no. That really does look like him. Oh
yeah, but he
my
looks he looks a little
God.
sweet in the cheeks, doesn't he? I can see where he likes it. You know, a little swinging a little action in all directions, like the rest of these people.
Oh my god, JJ, why?
Right. Well, here's the other deal that no one ever talks about with old Mr. JFK Jr. is he clearly inherited the membership in the Society of the Cincinnati from his grandfather Bouvier, his mother's father, when he was born. It looks like.
This looks like if you took Jackie and him, it would be JFK Jr. for sure.
Yeah.
The hairline and the
I
big bushy eyebrows.
Yup, I have a real good picture. I just can't find it. So let me. I mean, at the end of the day, does he look? JFK Jr. looks more Mediterranean, right, than he does.
Irish.
I thought that just came from
right.
Jackie's side of things.
Well, now you see this too. That's to it. I never heard this one either. It's almost as like, you know, Woody Allen being what's his name's dad.
Oh, we just talked about that.
Yeah, we just covered that last Friday. I got that right here for you if you need that one.
Oh my god.
Yeah, that's his kid. Fuck. That's
my god.
That's as bad as Trudeau and Castro.
JJ,
that's what I'm saying, right? That's what I'm saying, right?
You're burning my barn.
Absolutely, yes, ma'am. So I mean, it brings in a lot of elements of a lot of equations that I think a lot of these things go on. We just may not recognize it publicly, right? You know, we're starting to see behind the curtain, so to speak. Does that make sense? Am I back? Did I disappear?
You disappeared. What was the last thing you said?
I said, you know, I think this is indicative. These, you know, we keep on bringing up these "Who is your daddy?" different examples, and I think it's indicative of these things have been going on with amongst these crowds of folks for a long time. We just didn't have the information available to look at it. You know, you got to look at it first. And
well, they've been swinging. They've been swinging since.
That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm
before
saying.
Before our
dude.
culture was even established.
Absolutely, dude. Absolutely. Yeah. You can't convince me Ronan Farrow is the son of Woody Allen. Get out of town.
No fucking way.
No
he looks
fucking
just
way.
like Frank. That one is as bad as Trudeau and Castro as well. And then this one that you just presented, totally
God,
new to
JJ.
me, but I didn't even know that she was running with him
I didn't
that
know
early.
that.
I thought that kind of was like an arranged thing, but I never looked into that one.
He was getting
I
some
mean,
hot, juicy Bouvier puss and got her pregnant. Oh my goodness.
well, since we're getting into the matters of film here tonight in this film review, and I do appreciate y'all both joining me here to get a little GCD and you folks of the interwebs as well. But when we talk about Aristotle Onassis, we can see him in the films of James Bond or Austin Powers, either one. But Blofeld, the James Bond villain who Mike Myers parodies as Dr. Evil, that is a parody of, that's a representation of Onassis, Aristotle
Really?
Onassis. Yeah. Well, here's another fun fact. If you're not familiar with James Bond films, those are some of my favorites. Sean Connery.
I grew up.
The rest
my
of
dad
them.
watched those, so I've seen most of them.
That's where I started too, sir. Yep. And if you're familiar with Casino Royale, which they only did recently as a remake, but they did it initially, it was just not the official James Bond, right? You know, films, right, through the Ion films or whatever. But the Blofeld and a fellow by the name of Lachette are the two villains in that, both of those films, the remake and the original. I think the original had Peter Sellers in it. Speaking of the Laurel Canyon scene, I think he played James Bond.
Really?
And, yeah, it was kind of a comedy take at it. Again, it wasn't an official one, but nonetheless, it's based off the same book by Ian Fleming, and Lachette is Aleister Crowley.
So was this before the Pink Panther series?
Yeah, this would have been like 1965. I think this was before the first Connery Bond, maybe kind of contemporary to it.
They just decided to do another take with be more mysterious and sleek.
it's kind of funny because I don't know, man. Remember when Sean Connery made his own Bond outside of the franchise? Never Say Never Again.
That's outside of it. I have seen that one.
Yeah, that's a remake of his previous film. Was it Goldfinger? I'll look it up. So he did one of his early Bond films in the official Bond series, and the Ion Films produced Bond series. He did one film, and then he remade that to compete with Roger Moore's film. And he had previously told his wife that he would never. As a Scotsman, I'm a big Connery fan, but he's a great actor. But in a Bond, he's my favorite Bond. But he had told his wife he'd never play Bond again. So when he sold out and did this independent Bond film to compete with Roger Moore's Bond, he jokingly named it "Never Say Never Again."
So did he get kind of booted, or did he quit on his own terms?
He didn't want to be typecast. I'm a Connery super fan. I'll go ahead and admit that. So he didn't want to get typecast as the Bond.
Not to stab your tush here, but I'm thinking he had a little Tom Brady syndrome. He was sitting on the sidelines and saw someone else do Bond, and he was like, "Fuck this."
Oh, absolutely, dude.
So he came
out. At
out.
least he did it in a comical way, right? He made it a funny title. He came out there with some balls, and it competed with it at the box office. I don't think it won, but it did pretty well. But it's funny how they do that with these Bond films. So this Casino Royale I was referring to was not the official Bond, right? So it was Thunderball. So this was a remake of Thunderball. So he had done Thunderball, one of his early Bond roles, and then he literally remade the same movie and called it Never Say Never Again. So I kind of like that. I kind of like that idea. This, little F you to Hollywood.
Was Schwarzenegger's dad a devoted Nazi?
Oh, yes, ma'am. We're about to get into that. That's where I was heading with this whole, we're already seeing a lot of these villainous characters throughout film series we may not really, recognize. For example, most folks don't realize that one of the villains from, one of the main villains in Bond, is based on Onassis. And there's another Greek shipping magnate that was, like Onassis. I think they mashed them together. But obviously Ian Fleming knew Aleister Crowley. And he said this character is based off of him, this Le Chiffre.
Le Chiffre.
Yeah.
That guy is always playing a bad guy.
Creepy, right? Actor.
He always is playing a bad guy. They replaced Johnny Depp with that guy in the new Harry Potter movies.
I don't even know. Who is it?
What? You haven't seen him in like a million movies?
What's his name?
Mads Mikkelsen?
I don't know.
Mikkelsen?
I don't fuck with Harry Potter.
Well, he was
Mads? M-A-D-S?
He was Hannibal in the new Hannibal series.
Oh, shit. Okay.
I never watched it.
Good at that.
It looks good.
Yeah, he played the shit out of it. I loved it. Actually, it's very cerebral. Both of you guys would love it. You never entertained it?
I've heard of it. I didn't know that was him.
Yeah, that's him. I'm telling you, he's always playing a freaking bad guy.
So in 1967, go ahead.
He's got the Ethan Hawke teeth, where his two fronts are pushed back and his canines come out.
Yup. That's a creepster when you see that. So this is the 1967 unofficial Casino Royale version, the film which cast, it wasn't Peter Sellers is in it, but David Niven is this guy, this British fella. You'd recognize his face. He's that British guy and everything. Was the Bond, and then the cast that included Peter Sellers, Ursula Andress, which she would later play in actual other Bond films, Orson Welles, and Woody Allen. Not Ronan Farrow's dad. Not.
That's a big not.
Isn't that weird though that they make the again it's there's a lot of the same cast of characters there with what we were already talking about involved in the production of these things. Sometimes I just like to think that they like all these spook stories because it's always spooks, right? And all of these, the OSS, the CIA, this is all founded not by hardcore combat dudes. These were all literary dudes from Yale.
It's like how you see the Fabian Society guys writing all the fucking dystopian future shit. It's just like very similar in that way because they know it, and then they like break it down to you in a predictive programming kind of way.
For sure. Have y'all ever heard of this film before we get into which again, I know it's not that far off. This is about a Nazi global assassin team that are, murking presidents, like the French president, and stuff like that.
I've never seen it.
No, me neither.
Warren Beatty.
Yeah, starring one of the Young Turks, one of Laurel Canyon's own, right?
You're right.
So this film is based on a book written by Lauren Singer. Lauren Singer right here, yep. And Lauren Singer is an OSS officer from Project Paperclip.
Oh, shut the fuck up.
I can't make this shit up, man. I can't make this shit up.
What the fuck is this?
Yep. He was sent to Yale, again, literary major, office of OSS, study the Malay language. But the war ended before he could serve active duty. With the OSS, Singer learned details of covert operations that became the theme of many of his novels. That's true. That's very true. So a lot of these guys embed a lot of things in their novels. The guy that wrote Harlan Ellison, he wrote a number of sci-fi stuff. He wrote that one movie or story that was turned into a movie about a boy who his dog told him to eat somebody. You know what I'm talking about?
I don't know, but it sounds very Berkowitz-y.
Well, it came out right after, I think, in film adaptation. Right before it. So this dude, he sued James Cameron, I think, and won for copyright infringement over the Terminator story. And he was an OSS dude.
What?
Or I'm trying to recall. He was either an OSS dude or he like.
This is Don Johnson, right?
Yeah, this is Don Johnson film. Yeah,
I've seen this. It's a crazy movie.
Yeah.
That was the basis of Terminator?
No. This guy right here though was the writer who sued Cameron and won over copyright over the storyline of Terminator. He didn't. If I remember correctly, he didn't. He wasn't OSS, but he had. And I don't remember the details, but I'll have to search in my brain hole at a later date. But he famously embeds some very CIA style messages and tactics in some of his sci-fi stuff.
Yeah, well, I mean,
James Cameron's always seemed like one of those fucking propped up guys to me.
Oh, really?
Oh, for fucking sure.
I love his work.
He's one of the ones who, if he's attached to something, it's propaganda.
Yeah.
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
Oh, big time.
Thought he was an occultist.
I mean, think about it. You got the fucking
abyss.
He covers the ocean phenomena with the abyss.
Uh-huh.
The whole transhumanist / Palantir type thing with the Terminator movies. Fucking Avatar made people depressed. People wanted to go live in that world. And I mean, it was just.
What do you got to say about aliens?
His Alien movie is my least favorite by far.
I love it so much.
We fight about this all the time. It's the one that does not fit into the series.
It's the best one that it was ever made.
Anyway, we argue about this sometimes.
It's the greatest film ever.
Aliens.
Aliens.
No, but yeah, I think he's a creepy dude in my opinion. But this one's super creepy. I don't even know why they make this in a film, but yeah, this is right before Berkowitz. But yeah, talking dog tells the kid to go murder someone and eat them and stuff. It's it's a family event. It's a family film.
I just want anybody who's in the chat right now, if you think Aliens is the best out of the franchise, please speak up. Because I'm feeling lonely over here.
We're gonna hear crickets.
So, in regards to all of these matters, I feel like a lot of these things we're talking about with this kind of OSS stuff, right? Again, a lot of these folks are embedding these things. These are the folks, no matter what they want to shitcoat their Wikipedias about. Oh, he got out, didn't see active duty, get out of town. That's probably what they say about Tricky Dick Nixon and his OSS O&I duties, right? Oh, he was just in an office. Okay, thanks for playing. I don't buy it. So, because none of these things were addressed until a few months after. No Nazi stuff, and there was no Nazis officially in America until a few months after Werner von Braun died. Then the Department of Justice opened up their official investigation, and folks like Gavin Newsom's dad got busted shortly thereafter. Otto von Douchebag. You familiar with that guy?
Mm.
Yeah, I saw someone in the chat mention him a little bit earlier when we were talking about dads.
Yeah. So Gavin Newsom had his father, Willie Newsom, looks nothing like him, had a business associate within the Getty, you know, the Getty family, the Getty business empire. You know, Newsom was an attorney. This guy was running the business interests, right? And his name was Otto von Bolschwing. I call him Otto von Bullshit or Otto von Douchebag. But he looks just like his son, Gavin. And somewhere I'll have that photo. Holy smokes. Y'all caught me off guard on my Otto von Bullshits tonight. But on that note, you had asked earlier if Onassis was gay. And I mean, like I said, I don't know if that's a thing with these people. They just do whatever they want. You know what I mean?
Oh, look at this.
Look at that one right there. That's Jack Kennedy's private boarding school roommate as a child, and he continued to live with Jack his entire life, including the White House.
Oh.
Yeah, they were tag team and interns together.
Oh my
Yeah.
God, that's his boyfriend.
Yup. His name's Lem Billings. He
They
shed
love
it.
each
There
other.
was reports on 11/22/63 that he was shedding a tear, and Jackie was looking happy.
Oh my.
Yeah, she
God.
really posed for that shock photo.
Right?
I mean, that was a fucking
She's a
masterpiece.
crisis actor.
No, she was in on it.
Really?
I think so. I think I don't even know if it was real, the footage we saw, but if that
I don't
footage
think it
is
was
real,
I don't think
she
it was real.
Well,
delivered the kill shot.
I like where your head's at, sir, because when we're dealing with all these Nazis, so everything about our film tonight is Nazis, Nazi genetic experiments, and the aerospace Nazi industry. And we see a lot of that in there tonight, but we're dealing with all of that in the Kennedy assassination stuff too, from George de Mohrenschildt, who was, cited now, basically proven as Oswald's handler. Well, he was actually Jackie Kennedy's godfather since the age of 7. She called him Uncle George.
What the fuck?
It's a true story. And I agree with you. We don't know what happened. Ryder Lee in his documentary JFKX, I highly recommend.
I subscribe to
seen
that
that
one. Yeah.
You seen that one?
Yeah.
Please describe your thoughts on that, please, sir.
I think that if you look into it deep enough, that was very much doctored footage. It took almost a fucking decade for them to put it out even. And there are missing frames. And I also think it's weird that Vanity Fair just released an article last November about how they were fucking filming JFK and his buddy getting killed.
And they used the same Secret Service detail that was on duty that day in Dallas in the film. And Jackie was the director because she was a professional photographer. That's how she met JFK. So I think she was kind of already honey trapped into him in the first place.
So to me, it's either a fucking total staged event or she was in on killing him. I can't be convinced.
I think it's
one of those two.
Staged event.
I mean, that's where my head usually
goes. I think the footage is fucking fake.
So, and you're way ahead of me, sir. I like where your head's at because we were talking about James Bond stuff on purpose with some of these things because we really don't know about these matters. And what we do know, the known knowns, if you will, it makes us wonder, did it ever really occur, right? Why JFK staged his own murder in a James Bond-inspired film 2 months before his assassination, starring everyone you saw there in Dallas that day. So we don't even know what we saw that day versus another day, et cetera, et cetera. But what we do know is that there's a bunch of Nazis involved. And my first rule in life is never trust a Nazi.
Mm-hmm.
That's why you believe in the moon landing.
Exactly, right? So in all of that stuff with the Nazis immediately goes back to the ancient alien cargo cult fuckers, like the ancient alien cargo cult sales. Yep, there you go. You see, I will go full blown ancient alien cargo cult fuckers here. But there's no question about it.
There is some, you probably already have this, but there are some actors in this movie that are Scientologists.
Once again, sir, you're way ahead of me. I like where your head's at, though. So my question is,
beat you to it.
How many, so that's what before we get into those particulars here and dive into the twins film here, how many times can you act starring opposite a Scientologist and not be a Scientologist? What are your thoughts?
I mean, that pretty much encapsulates all of Hollywood if you're doing degrees of separation.
Well, I mean, let's take Danny DeVito, for example. We see Danny DeVito here in this film opposite Arnold Schwarzenegger, son of the Nazi. And I'll get to that here in a second, Julia, because he's definitely the son of a Nazi, despite all the, all the shit coating around it. But we see Danny DeVito in the film Look Who's Talking. This is, he did the taxi stuff, beforehand, right? But we see him in the 90s, late 80s. He's not doing a lot. He did Throw Mama from the Train. That was a decent film, I guess. But, Rude People with Judge Reinhold. Yeah, those were decent ones. I'm not going to lie to you. I enjoyed those. I don't like Billy Crystal unless it's City Slickers, or that one. But, this really, in the 90s, he was really Look Who's Talking. He was one of the voices, right? That's John Travolta and Kirstie Alley, and Bruce Willis is the baby's voice. So when Travolta marries tonight's star, Kelly Preston, it's a very small ceremony, and it's Bruce Willis, Demi Moore, Rhea Perlman, and Dan DeVito. Those are both couples. So it's a very small, and it seems like all of those couples there might have been Scientologists.
Oh, yeah, I would think so.
Right.
And Kelly Preston may or may not have a penis.
Whoa. Okay, let's hear that one. I don't know if I've heard that one yet.
She just came up with this, right?
No, I didn't. No, it's not just me. And there's actually a Family Guy joke about it.
Well, Kelly Preston.
Say what? There's a Family Guy joke about it?
There's even a Family Guy joke about
it.
Well,
it's a fact of Family Guy jokes about it. I didn't think there was someone jerking off at the end of the film Teen Wolf until I watched Family Guy, and I was like, holy shit, Family Guy's onto something here.
Isn't he just like clapping with his dick hanging out?
I've heard all these excuses. Whatever's going on there's inappropriate, sir. I don't need to see that. But, the end of a children's film.
I noticed it before I'd even heard of it.
Oh, I did not notice it. That's what I'm saying.
I
Family Guys would tune me into that.
This was the internet was like still a new thing, and I got online looking to see if anybody else knew about it, and there was like a whole group of people.
Okay,
Andrew
well,
Tate doesn't have a penis.
You're an early adopter, Colby. I will give you that, sir. You were way ahead of the times. I
like to watch films and scan for dicks. I don't know why. It's always have it.
It's not just dicks though. He can watch a movie one time and like say all the quotes from the movie, and I'm like, I don't even fucking remember watching it. You remember every little detail.
I recently watched a film, and Julia joined me here for the film review along with Jonathan Mitchell there, the Son of Sam blog, The Ghost Story. And I was offended. I was bombarded with some full frontal dick stuff within the first few minutes of that film without warning, with no disclaimers.
Don't watch The Righteous Gemstones, whatever you do.
Oh,
I will note to self, I will not. And Ghost Story, you don't even have to look for it. It's just right in your face, man, right in your face hole. It's aggressive. So I didn't want to do a lot of clips because the speaking of Nazis, the YouTube Nazis don't like that. But I do have a couple of clips. One of my favorite scenes, because I got to introduce that. But I first want to introduce the kind of the folks aren't familiar with the film, the 1988 cinematic masterpiece Twins, brought to us by Ivan Reitman and starring Arnold Schwarzenegger, Danny DeVito. Kelly Preston's one of Xenu's, I don't think she's on Earth anymore. Maybe she's in recycle mode, but formerly one of Xenu's Guardians of the Earth from Scientology, and a number of other kind of character actors, but those were the big ones, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so, the bad guy that played, what's his name? He was supposed to pick up the car.
Yeah, he's kind of like a familiar face, right?
Yeah, he's always that guy.
Yeah, he's always that kind of cowboy douchebag, right?
Yeah, he's one of those character guys you're talking about.
Like the Hannibal guy. Always a bad
guy. So I got a clip here and we kind of introduces the film and kind of the dual nature of what we're looking at here, because these two twins are nothing alike.
Negotiate first and then you attack.
You never negotiated.
Nah.
You don't know what kind of an enemy I am.
Who are you?
I'm Vincent's brother.
We're twins.
That's right.
You're fired.
You have no respect for logic.
Okay. He's got an axe.
And I have no respect for those with no respect for logic. You're a very stupid person.
So we get Arnold, Arnie there. He's the well-educated, freak of nature who was born of a Nazi experiment, but then shipped off to an island in the South Pacific. Right? Isn't that our narrative here?
Yeah. And I mean, just the backstory of this movie, it already lays out like a shit show of intelligence conspiracy stuff.
Oh yeah, because they're right in your face. Well, then Danny DeVito that kind of got he was the accident and got shit out second, and they explain it later, right? As he was the waste product kind of the situation, right?
Yeah, it's almost like the main fetus shed all of its defects, and that went into the little guy. But I find it interesting that they specify in the movie within the first, I don't know, 10 minutes that it was American scientists working with Germany. I mean,
first 5 minutes. That's how they open it up, right? They're like,
Yeah.
"Hey, this is a Nazi experiment. We're at Los Alamos. We're in this genetics lab. We're in the basement." And then I got a clip of that, not that scene, but the basement scene when they go back and discover it. Because when they go back and discover it, when Arnold and Danny go back and find this Nazi scientist fellow there at Los Alamos still alive, in their journey of discovery here, we're going to discuss. It's funny because he opens the door. He's like, "Oh, we locked this place up 5 minutes after you were born," as if to imply there was no more other genetic experiments. I kind of thought that was funny.
Yeah, for sure.
But so Arnold gets shipped and he's educated and gets all of this kind of preferential treatment in childhood, if you will, versus what Danny DeVito gets. He goes to an orphanage, right? He's got a very Wayne Edwards style childhood, if you will. Hood rat shit, escaping orphanages, that sort of thing.
Yeah, I mean, the character's not even an ounce on the likability scale. He's like a 1.
Who?
Right.
Vincent.
Oh, Danny DeVito?
Yeah, so where did you find anything interesting about the namesake for these characters, Julius and Vincent Benedict?
When Julius Benedict comes up, it just it seems like an amalgamation almost. I mean, your pick of famous Julius's and famous Benedicts, but
right.
It's very, I don't know. Did you dig anything specific up on that?
No, I just thought it was very interesting. I don't know, I figured there's some sort of nature of why they chose those names. I'm not exactly versed well enough to understand it, but
I'm always the one who does the names, and I thought somebody else would do it, so I skipped it.
Well, I figured Drew missing, and you always go for the names.
It's all right, man. But I'm gonna be fair. I'm never the name person. I'm terrible with names. That's why I have initials as my own. That way I won't forget it. Double J right here. That's how I know where I'm at. But no, that's all right. So we do find out that they're real in your face. Real again. I want to formally address the fact that they put the son of a Nazi starring in a genetics. Again, you can call it a comedy, which it is obviously a comedy, but the precept of which wasn't well known in 1988, because again, the DOJ didn't start investigating until 78, and they didn't start deporting Gavin Newsom's dad until 1980. So these weren't like, commonly known things. In fact, I don't think Schwarzenegger had been raked over the coals yet until the 90s by the Simon Wiesenthal Center.
So at this point, nobody knew that he was
I think it was
Nazi.
rumored. Yeah, I think it was rumored, but they were trying to shit code it, and they're like, "Oh, he's not really a Nazi." But no, he was a brown shirt. No, he was definitely a Nazi.
Well, he could even, Arnold in real life could even be the subject of some kind of experiment like this.
I was going to say that. He's like one of the ugliest human beings I've ever seen in my life.
Well, not ugly, but
once again, sir, you beat me to the punch, and I do salute you on that, because I was going to ask, that was my first question when we were going to get into the plot line tonight, is how is this, explain to me how this is not a documentary about Arnold's life. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So does that mean there's some little tiny short guy somewhere with it?
Well, I mean maybe that's fictionalized, but I do think he's some sort of experiment. It's been many years. I'm throwing pot on myself right now when I'm trying to roll this, but we'll get back to that in a second. So you saw in 2003 when he was running for governor, the governor in California, the Cape Cod Times broke an article about his Nazi dad, which I find is interesting because that's where the Kennedys live, in Kenny Bunkport. So that's some inter family warfare. Like, hey, let's narc out old Arnie for his Nazi dad right now, because that's really when it exploded, was around that time, right? And
that's
again,
when
it is a fact. It is a fact, So
not just a Nazi, a fucking brown shirt, like
right. Oh, dude, and he signed. Yeah, and they try to shit code it now. They're like, wait, well, he only signed up in 41 after Austria was, kind of invaded by Nazis. And then, no, that's not actually true. He actually signed up in 38. So, they're like, oh, shit. that was when Austria was still free. So when Austria hadn't even been invaded by Nazis, he's like, sign me up to be a fucking Nazi.
Oh, no shit. That is convenient timing.
Yeah.
So what's a brown shirt?
So the brown shirts were the folks, they were the really militant wing of, this dude was a military police dude. So they're like the militant wing of the Nazi militias.
The militant
Ah.
of the Nazis.
What the fuck?
Yeah, they weren't the SS, but they were like, almost as ardent of a Nazi, I suppose, right?
Mm. So yeah.
Somewhere.
Yeah, that article you pulled up, I liked the name. It was Arnold's dad is a stormtrooper, or what?
Well, that's what. The brown shirts. That's what they were called, the stormtroopers. They did a lot of damage. Crystal knocked. He wasn't part of the unit during Crystal Knocked, but that was the unit that did Crystal Knock. You all familiar with that?
I
The night of the. Oh,
what did they call
Night
it?
of the Long Knives.
Long knives.
Is that
I was
what
going
it's
to say the short swords.
The short swords. Well, they're short bust, short swords.
Long knife
But-
is a short sword.
One man's knife is another man's sword. You are correct, sir. So that I got a little background here on Gustav. So this is the Wikipedia version, the source of all information on the interwebs. So he was an Austrian police chief, a Gunder Kommandantant, whatever that means, postal inspector, member of the Sturmballing, the SA. So this is the SA. This is them brown shirts, right? These were
this is
the original. Whoa, the original paramilitary group under Adolf Hitler. Like I said, they were, when they weren't Nazi enough, they made the SS, right? But these guys were still pretty Nazi.
What? This is his dad.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
I always, whenever I think of Arnold now, I just think of him during COVID, telling us to wash our hands 3,000 times a day, and then saying that "fuck your freedom."
That's what he said.
He said,
Well, it
"Fuck
makes
your
sense,
freedom."
right? I mean, that sounds like
It
something a
does.
Nazi would say, right?
Yeah.
Ugly inside and out. That's what I heard. He
Yeah,
is. He almost
night of
looks like a fucking freak of nature. Like no human should look like that.
I don't disagree.
His face is ugly. His body is weird.
The night of the short swords, though, that was the really big bloody event, though. But that was before old Gustav joined. But nonetheless, you have to understand that's the context in which Gustav joined. Austria had not been taken over yet. He's like, sign me up for Nazi stuff, and he's like, in fact, I want to join that group that was really wrecking shit. You know what I mean? That's Gustav. That's Arnold's dad. So, if anyone's going to be a part of a Nazi experiment, I think he's a great example. Now, there was a book in the 1990s written, that Secret and Suppressed book. Y'all heard of that? So in that book, I think it was Peter Moon, the guy that kind of does all that bullshit around the Montauk stuff, if you ask me. But nonetheless, I don't think this is a true story. I just think it's an interesting story. And the fact that, somebody wrote a book, one of these conspiracy books in the 90s, like an anthology type of book. And one of the chapters was Mark Hamill being the product of a Nazi science experiment.
That one tracks too.
Well, in fact, as far as what we're talking about tonight with these Nazi New Mexico operations, a Colonel Hamill was the man in charge for the U.S. Army out there. So I've done my best to try to connect him and Mark, but I can tell you this. When I start looking at a lot of folks' family lineages and trees, there's a lot of folks that intentionally obfuscate and shitcode things, and the Hamills aren't the least of which, or one of them.
Well, you're an ex-Mormon. You could get the records. Just play nice.
That's my point. Folks go through an effort to keep a lot of these things off of databases and indexes. That's the kind of extent of what we're talking about.
Yeah, but the Mormon database is fucking, I think that's the best one we have here right now.
I would agree with you, but even on that, folks like the Bouviers, Jacqueline Bouvier's family, someone back about 100 years ago has intentionally obfuscated the actual Bouvier line. And it is these matters I think they're trying to hide. What if Arnold is some sort of fucking, Nazi experiment? You know what I mean? Why would, again, you put him in a comedy about that. If someone ever suggests that instead of Mark Hamill, then they would laugh at you even more because you're like, what? Did you see the movie Twins? Is that why you're saying that?
Right.
Yeah.
So when we see Danny DeVito is basically a piece of shit in life, right? He's in an orphanage, escapes a lot, does a lot of crime stuff. In Arnold coming to America, we find him going to Los Angeles, and he's getting greeted in the proper Los Angeles form and fashion. Probably no different, maybe even a little bit worse. You might get greeted today, but it brings about one of my favorite Arnold quotes of all times, and I got a clip for us right here. That's the wrong clip.
What the hell did you do to him, man? I did nothing. The pavement was his enemy. Check him out.
Pavement was his enemy.
You know, this was the first time I'd ever seen this movie, JJ.
Oh yeah, I forgot to ask you, Colby. This wasn't his first time, was it, sir? This was your first time, though, Julia, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah, this one was definitely in rotation with like a dozen or so movies growing up.
See, Colby actually should have been on the "So I Married an Axe Murderer"
shoot! All
episode
right.
too. Because
Yeah, that one I got into probably in my early to mid-teens, and it was one of my favorites.
thanks
Same
to
here.
JJ, it's now one of my favorites too because it
Well-
was absolutely
Well,
hilarious.
it's Mike Myers at his best, even though there was a big struggle, in the behind the scenes of that filming with, the screenwriting rights and all that shit.
Well, since JJ mentioned Coming to America, I know he didn't mention like the movie, but it made me think of something. I put in my notes in 2012 they were gonna do a sequel called Triplets. Did you know that?
Yeah.
It was gonna have Eddie Murphy as their long lost triplet brother.
Was
Yeah,
one
he
of the
was-
dads black? Because they didn't go through all of them.
Well, they did.
No.
Did
He was too. Sadly, Eddie Murphy was too busy making sure transgendered hookers got thrown off the top of buildings.
they?
It's not, that was the remake of his activity in the '90s. He was just repeating it, like they do in Hollywood. Y'all familiar with those stories?
I mean, I know the scenario. I haven't really done any digging
man.
I
into
haven't
it.
done any digging
So,
on that either.
I know the situation, but did she end up dead?
Multiple of them did. Multiple of them did.
What are you guys
Yeah.
talking about?
Well, he got busted with a
Yeah,
tranny hooker.
Yeah, he
And
got
then-
busted with a tranny hooker. And he's like, "Oh, I had no idea that was a dude." That was what he told the cops, right?
Uh-huh.
And then
Yeah,
that dude happened to fall off the top of its building or balcony, depending on accounts, a couple days later. But then a couple of its friends, apparently Eddie also had some experiences with, also met an early demise. This is where Andrew Breitbart got his start. He was writing about, he actually did an investigative journalist effort on this matter back on a website he did in the 90s called Big Hollywood.
Oh my God.
Yeah. I did see that, though. What is interesting, though, as far as sequels go, they did kind of set up the end of this film for a sequel, and they almost, I don't want to spoil it, but I'll put a pen in it later for the end of the discussion here. As far as my take on that final scene, we get introduced to some, potential, setting it up if they could do a sequel, but it had nothing to do with the a triplet situation, right?
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah,
go ahead.
I was just going to say, I kind of did my review on some of the stuff that I noticed about the movie, not so much like the movie itself, like the stuff
Sure.
in the backgrounds and stuff like that.
I like it. I think that's important. I think a lot of these things I don't think these things are ever done unintentionally. I mean, the amount of work and effort that goes is just to set up a scene for filming. I mean, this is not these are long days spent, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
Folks
that's
standing
what
around while they're getting stuff set up, right? It's not a hasty effort, right?
Right. That's what I've been doing these movie reviews for 4 years now, just on and off different movies. And I've come to the conclusion that nothing is really an accident, like where they choose to film things, the buildings they use, the stuff in the background, the music, the costumes, like everything is significant in some way. Obviously the places that they mention in the movie, I think are significant because it could have been anywhere, but it's Los Alamos, New Mexico.
Yeah.
It's Los Angeles. It's, Houston, Texas. Like why these places?
Yeah, McKinley Aerospace.
Right.
All Nazi stuff, right? All Nazi stuff. You
And
got
they
Houston,
make
we
sure
got
that
a
you
problem, right?
They make sure you see it because
Mm-hmm.
there's that final chase scene at the end when what's his name, Webster? I talked about him before. The character
didn't write
actor,
it
the guy,
down.
the killer guy.
The killer guy.
Oh, you're talking about Beetroot?
No, it's
that was
the
the
guy,
business dude.
the delivery guy that was
Yeah,
supposed to get
Webster.
So
Yeah,
Webster's chasing Danny DeVito down the halls of this aerospace place, and you just see the logo fucking plastered everywhere. Like they want you to see it.
Yeah.
Right.
That's
And he was in
why I
Starship
think it's-
Troopers, Total Recall, right? He played the dude who had the alien dude who's running shit that Schwarzenegger was trying to find in Total Recall.
Oh, this is Webster?
Yeah, that's Webster.
Okay.
Who was he in Stand By Me?
That's a good. Oh, he's one of the dads.
Oh, he's one of the dads. I was gonna say that's a movie I watched 700 times as a kid.
Y'all know what I'm talking about with the alien thing though from
Yeah, Total Recall.
yeah, what was that? Guato or something? Yeah, it was based on a Philip K. Dick story, right?
So he was in 2 movies with Arnold Schwarzenegger.
At least.
Yeah, there's a lot of
Small
crossovers.
circles.
Yeah,
Small circles.
He was the guy where the alien was in his like under his coat or whatever. He was Guato, but he was the host of Guato or whatever. But yeah, well, if you think about it, Arnold, Ivan Reitman, and Danny DeVito would later team up in another genetics film called
Junior.
Junior.
Yes. This one is I think this one's got even more juice to it.
Okay. Well, I've seen this one. What do you got for me?
Oh, I mean, I'd have to sit down and kind of dissect it, but it is weird that they teamed up again for like a genetics type movie. But
with this
Right.
same bunch
But
of people.
just even like I didn't even know this was Ivan Reitman, but just the predictive programming of men having babies kind of thing that was in this, because that was a laughing topic at that point when the movie was
For
made.
sure, dude. No one like the idea of men being women at this time was not an idea even remotely in the mindset of American society.
Yeah, I just want to say it's
Yes, ma'am.
not pregnant person. If I hear somebody say pregnant person one more time, I'm going to lose my fucking shit.
It's birthing person.
It's birthing
fuck
people.
that
It's actually
too.
birthing people.
Birthing people,
In case that's a
It's-
they thems.
pregnant
Exactly.
woman.
In case they're a plural one in themselves, right? I think these folks need to learn to understand
that.
grammar. They failed something there. I don't know what happened, but they don't know grammar. They thems.
I hate that shit. Because it's
Right.
like,
Guys hate speech. We're gonna get kicked off.
I don't give a fuck about hate speech. I'm sitting here 8 months pregnant, and if somebody calls me a pregnant person, I'm going to slap their
Well,
face.
You're a
Well, I don't
person.
think these things are too far different. These matters of question, not only the genetics experiments from twins or the men, women birthing people stuff from Junior, that these Nazi matters. It's all anything human experimentation. I declare outright as Nazi. But we see folks the folks pushing the transhumanist agenda, the Baphomet stuff. This is all neo-process, nonsense with the Baphomet and the reconciliation of opposites. We see it within the neo-process movement of the Satanic Temple with their Baphomet logos and their statues.
Well,
So
where
and they're
does
Nazis. They're Nazis,
Does it
the process.
specify in where in the South Pacific?
No, it
It
doesn't-
says
it doesn't-
100 miles south of Fiji, I believe it
Yeah.
was 100 miles south of Fiji.
They make vague references to it throughout the film, but I mean, this has all got me wondering if, like, Arnold himself is just like another Laurel Canyon-esque type of op.
Well, yeah.
I mean, I've never
That's
really
what I'm
sat
saying,
down.
dude. How sooner way to dispel any of these rumors? Like, let's just say, at the same time, again, that Mark Hamill piece is getting written in some major publication of conspiracy culture, in the 90s. I'm just saying, let's say there was these ideas of Arnold floating around. What better way to dispel that than to make a comedy saying that Arnold's a Nazi experiment? Because they tell us he's the product of 6 fathers, and you may be thinking, that sounds ridiculous. That sounds ridiculous, but that's not that ridiculous. It's really not. In fact, I don't want to get I'm not a scientist. I'm also not the vice president, but as far as the ideas of in vitro fertilization goes, they don't take the sperm of a father and put it into the donor egg of a mother. What they do is they take skin cells. So if you took skin cells from 6 dudes and then put them into the donor egg of a mother and then jam that turkey baster up some lady, Marianne, the mother in this film, right? Benedict.
Mhm.
And then there you go. You got 6 dads and 1 human being in an embryo there. Popped it in there. You don't technically you don't have to put in a mother's embryo or DNA in there at all. You could just put the 6 dads. And they don't tell us they did that. They don't tell us that. We had presumed that's the case, but in vitro fertilization, that may not be the case because there's a large degree of, for example, normally in vitro stuff, they zap the donor egg. If a mother's can't have healthy eggs, then they zap a donor egg from a mother's egg, healthy egg, to remove all the DNA from that egg. So if they were just to put in 6 dudes, and that sounds like what they're describing with Arnold, they don't ever really describe in specific the mother's involved in it at all. They just describe she's basically the oven they're cooking it in, but they also imply that they're all banging this lady.
Yeah,
at least one of them was for sure.
Wow.
Yeah.
I would say that scientist fell the fat when she gets angry out there towards the end.
Right.
The one that spills the beans. They seem to know each other on a biblical level, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, and to go back to your earlier point, they kind of poo-poo the idea throughout the movie. They keep calling it, that's where the milkshake was made.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So there's like no sex involved, even though they're all banging her, it sounds like. The mother. The scientists are banging her, the 2 scientists, the 6 donor dads, but they don't describe her being involved, and there is a scientific basis for that. And again, the idea of cloning is, I think, cloning. So like Dave Chappelle died yesterday, and there's a new Dave Chappelle today. Looks exactly the same age and everything. That's not what I call cloning. I'm saying like the idea of taking, again, not if you want to make a person and you don't put in a mother, you just put in the father, and then you want to make 6 dudes into one person. Well, that's what we see here in Twins, right? When they put 6 donor dads into Arnold.
The only thing that doesn't make sense to me is they would have to have used 2 eggs, right, to make Danny DeVito, or else
no. He was.
They explain it. Yeah, they explain it.
He was the accidental shed off of this really perfect embryo.
But wouldn't they be identical then?
No, he even says we're not identical twins. I don't know. They don't really explain it down to the nitty gritty of the scientific terms, but it was like a byproduct.
He was just like
fraternal twins don't often look alike either. Like fraternal twins can look pretty different.
And you can have a boy and a girl.
Yeah.
Yeah,
but they do imply that he's just like it was a part of the experiment that it just branched off. That the cells that they had developed knew to dump the bad stuff.
Yeah, it was like the imperfections just lumped all together.
Yeah, but they only did it one time, and they closed the doors and they locked it for the next 50 years, as they told us, right? Or 40 years.
Yeah, that's awful NASA-y.
Well, I actually have something to say about that because it says that Julius was raised by one of the professors named Warner.
I saw that. No, he's one of the scientists, right? Yeah, named Warner. I thought, was that a nod, you think, to Von Braun?
Well, I actually can tie it all together for you if you want me to.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Please do.
So I do think that was specific, that he would be raised by this guy, Professor Warner. And the whole the fuel injector thing or whatever that he steals, and then he goes to the what's it called? The aerospace thing.
That's the big nod to the Nazi. So we got the Nazi geneticists, right? We got the Los Alamos, where all the Manhattan stuff is with the atomic bomb with the Nazis, but we also get the full scale aspect of the aerospace portion of it with not only the jet injector, or was it fuel injector, this new advanced fuel injector, but if you look in the scene where they go to the dudes who the engineers, right, and the hitman murks them, right? The 2 engineers that hired the hitman to go deliver the goods, the stolen engine, right? Well, they have nothing but rockets all in the background there, right? It's clearly a nod to NASA.
That's why I think that they chose the professor name to be Warner on purpose, because he also has like a weird accent and shit. You know, he's clearly like.
Well, and they try to like make him look like the good guy in the movie. Even at the end where they all reunite, he's there and he raised Julius, but there wouldn't
Once again, sir, you're spot on. Please continue. I like where your head's at.
Well, if there was secrets kept, he was the one keeping the secrets. He's the one raising him in isolation. He's the one who doesn't tell the mother, who apparently by the end of the movie, you see that they're close. So she's blaming the other guy, the villain of the movie, the guy in New Mexico, but the real villain is the guy that raised him.
He also put him through, and if you look on Wikipedia, it says that Professor Warner put Julius through rigorous physical training and like homeschooling programs, and
he was part of
on
the program,
an island.
Right? On an island,
he's part of a program. Yeah. So I think that's what I'm saying. Like towards the end, though, I like where you're at with that, because suddenly while we're back on the topic, I'll go ahead and hit where my brain hole's at. We see Schwarzenegger and DeVito suddenly with twins of their own. The German scientist Werner's back in the picture. He seems to be banging Marianne, the mom again, Benedict, right? Again, she seemed to have a bad history with the other scientists. That's why she seemed pretty salty with him. Although, you know, these folks told her that Arnold died, and she didn't even know about DeVito, right? So there was that aspect of it. They did lie to her, right? But nonetheless, like, she's got a lot of money. She's in an artist community in Taos, New Mexico. It reminds me of Dennis Hopper, who had a artist retreat in Taos, New Mexico. But, you know, back to more of these processing and Nazi kind of things. But nonetheless, I took the impression that the children they had, the twins that Schwarzenegger and DeVito have at the end, they're just doing more Nazi experiments with the same Nazi guy who's back, right? Warner.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I actually have one last thing, and you might think I'm stretching, but I hope you can get where I'm going with this. So this is the first time I ever watched this movie, so I noticed a bunch of stuff that if you were watching it for like the 20th time, it might not mean anything to you, but it was bizarre to me that when Julius gets on the airplane, that he would be listening to a song that came out in the 50s. Like, why wouldn't they have it? The movie came out in what, 1988. 1988.
You're talking about Yakety Yak.
Yakety Yak. It stood out to me because, first off, I love the song, but it's like, it wasn't really that funny, him singing it, and it didn't make sense for the time period, because
it doesn't have like a tie-in to
it
the
doesn't
plot.
have a tie-in.
No, it was super cheesy, because I saw this film at the drive-in when it came out, and was driving to the theater. I definitely saw it. I think it was at the drive-in, like it's a double feat. I remember seeing this movie and another movie. I don't remember if it was in a theater or in the drive-in, but it was like, you know, the back-to-back double feature kind of deal. And it wasn't funny. Like, even as a child, like, it wasn't a funny moment, you know. And they're aiming for. Yeah, it doesn't play for children or adults, right? Because you're an adult, and I saw it as a child for the first time. You saw it as an adult, and it's not funny, right? It's just not a funny scene.
It wasn't funny, and I didn't understand why they used that song several times through. So when this movie was being made, I just wanted to say what the top songs were that they could have used. So the top 4 songs in 1988 were Faith, George Michael.
Prince? George Michael. My apologies.
Yeah.
Yeah, my apologies.
Need You Tonight, NXS.
Okay.
Got My Mind Set on You, George Harrison.
That would have been
the only Beatle with a number 1 hit or top 10 hit.
And Never Gonna Give You Up, Rick Astley. So why did they use Yakety Yak? Right? That's my question to you. And I'm going to tell you why I think they used Yakety Yak. But
all right.
Do you kind of see where I'm going with this?
I do. I like where your head's at, ma'am. Do you want me to go first?
Yeah, you go first, and then I'll tell you why I think they used it.
I was going to bring up this exact topic. So once again, I like where your head's at. You're way ahead of me here. But let me just play the quick video here before we get into that.
So how are all of those little wave ripples? How are those so perfectly matching what's in the video?
Because all dispersal patterns, all dispersal patterns look the same. This is like saying that my butthole is your butthole because they're similar, right? It's not. We don't have the same butthole because of that.
You're using butthole out of context. You're talking about buttholes making everyone feel weird.
And that's the point.
That was for you, ma'am. I figured you'd enjoy that halftime.
I loved it.
halftime
I
clip.
loved it so much. I'm the butthole person.
I knew you were a fan of the word. I didn't realize you were going to so heavily focus on that fandom at the beginning of the show. So it was a good lead in. Good lead in.
Yeah, no.
So, as far as the music goes, I took note of the same thing. So we have what we're dealing with at the soundtrack of this film is we're introduced to Arnold getting on a boat, and he's somewhere south of Fiji, and gets on a raft and starts paddling somewhere, and gets on a plane somewhere, maybe Hawaii, it seems, right? Flies back to Los Angeles, and when he's on that plane, he's singing that Yakety Yak song. So all of the music is pre-Laurel Canyon, kind of late 50s, early 60s rock. And I do find that interesting because that is before the same time Laurel Canyon's popping off is the same time the Nazi aerospace industry is setting up shop in El Segundo, California, a small municipality just outside the Los Angeles airport. So it almost builds the same time frame, right?
Again, this movie came out in 1988, and they used another song, which is I Only Have Eyes for You. Why? In 1988, do you need to put two old ass fucking songs like that in the movie? You know what I'm talking about.
Shabba shabba.
Yeah. I Only Have Eyes for You and Yakety Yak.
It's a great song, though.
Yeah, but it doesn't fit the movie.
All these songs of that era, though, right?
It does tie into the plot because it's what Vincent says to his, not really his girlfriend, even though she thinks so.
So why do you think they used Yakety Yak before I let the cat out of the bag?
I don't know why they used that one. That one, it also confuses me.
So I'll just tell you guys why I think they used it and why they made such a big deal about it. Is because Yakety Yak came out in 1958. It was the top song of the year in 1958. Yeah. And also in 1958, they established NASA, Wernher von Braun. In 1958, they established DARPA. And in 1958, they launched the Explorer 1, which marked the beginning of the space race for the United States. All of that happened. The number one song that year was Yakety Yak.
And it's teaching compliance. God damn.
That is a barn burner of some fun facts you got there. I do appreciate that. That is a good nod to it, I think, because, again, we see this, all the music is that pre-era before the Nazis really even go into Los Angeles, and that is where we see the start of the film.
And it's not funny when he sings it.
Yeah.
Did you think it was? Like, it's not funny.
Well, it's never funny when a Nazi sings about it being Nazi stuff, right? You know what I mean?
But yeah, so that's why I think they used it. It was the number one song the year NASA was established, DARPA, the space race, so the day that NASA was established, somebody in there was listening to fucking Yakety Yak on the radio.
Probably all the time. It's probably on a loop with like 5 other songs.
A loop, yeah.
And I Only Have Eyes for You. I wonder what year did that come out?
Let's see.
Wouldn't that be creepy if like Wernher von Braun's favorite song was just Yakety Yak when he's just in there doing Nazi nasty stuff? He's just yakking it up. Pretty wild.
Yeah, maybe it was just his choice.
Right.
Well, that one came out in 59.
So the next year.
Yeah, like I said, I mean, all this music is of an era that it does not really fit with the storyline and stuff. So
I don't think it does
seem to be intentional, right?
It does seem to be intentional. And I do have some other stuff that I want to talk about, whenever you guys are ready. But did you want to go over some of your notes first?
I mean, my stuff, I had some weird stuff about Sylvester Stallone, because Schwarzenegger and Stallone in their movies, they would like give nods to each other. They did one in Twins.
Yeah.
In Demolition Man, they talk about Arnold Schwarzenegger becoming president. And he's like, no way, how can you become president? And Sandra Bullock says, because the whatever amendment to the Constitution. And then in The Last Action Hero, the little kid wants to prove to Arnold Schwarzenegger's character that he's really an actor.
I love that movie.
You remember where he takes him to the movie store to show him?
Yeah,
and
the Blockbuster.
He finds Terminator 2 poster and he thinks he's hit pay dirt and it's Stallone. So they always, they established Planet Hollywood with Bruce Willis, who you already mentioned earlier, with the wedding. And
for sure.
So yeah, I just found that. What's that? They're
definitely part of the same crew, right?
Right.
Well, Stallone's all deep in Scientology stuff. Him and Travolta were boys back when he did. Stallone directed Staying Alive. He also helped choreograph it.
Right, and he has a cameo too, where he's walking down the sidewalk.
And he's also he helped raise John Travolta's son. If you ask me, Stage Stallone looks that's Travolta's boy. Get out of town.
Ooh, that one actually, I can see that. I never thought he looked like Stallone.
Oh no, not at all, dude. I got that one. I got to get that bowl swing on deck for y'all. Still, I'll get that before the end of the show. But I got my Travolta stage Stallone right here. Please stand by. But yeah, they're definitely part of the same crew. They do always do that nod with each other too, don't they?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
You mean to tell me that ain't Travolta's boy? Get out of
Whoa!
Yeah, maybe they made a little milkshake. I can see a little bit of both.
You see a little bit of both. Really.
I can see Stallone in there. Look at the eyes drooping.
Oh, the drooping eye. Well,
like, look right here. That looks, if you hold your hand over his nose and look at the eyes, that could be Stallone.
Maybe.
Oh, so we're talking about a Scientology milkshake here, then maybe.
There you go.
Yeah, there you go.
I mean, who was running with Werner? Fucking Elron.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Right. There you go. That's what I'm saying. I think that's really the true secret to a lot of these things. Is these ideas seem far-fetched on their surface, and even in conspiracy culture, folks still try to wrap their brain holes around them. But I think they're far more accepted in standard practice than we have any understanding of.
And what was that thing? I know you wrote something about it at the end of the movie when they talk about the Rand.
Oh yeah, they give a nod to the Rand Corporation. They say the Benedict Corporation is like the Rand Corporation, only smarter. I don't know why she's jumping all the way to the end of the movie.
I missed that altogether. That's fun, dude, because that's definitely CIA stuff right there with the Rand Corporation.
All right. And why would they say in 1988, like the Rand Corporation?
That's why I thought it was
no one.
Right.
That wasn't a household name back then. I mean, maybe if
no, it's not at all. Not at all.
That's why the yakety yak thing stood out to me. It's like nothing makes fucking actual sense in the movie for the time period.
No, I agree totally. No, they're not. These aren't common ideas in the time period at all. No, I mean, I remember even seeing it like, it was treated as if it was satirical because that was how far-fetched, even kind of in the general mindset of the public, where these Nazi science experiments were going on.
Mm-hmm.
Granted, I was only 8, but I had a pretty good grasp of what adults were saying about it at the time too. And I've always been a big film fan, big fan of film. Reviews. I used to write my own reviews. Back then as well, just for whatever reasons, just for myself. But nonetheless, these things were not like Siskel and Ebert would definitely review the film as 2 thumbs up, but definitely treating it as if it was kooky, right?
See, you got Biodome pulled up here.
Are you familiar with the film Biodome?
Biodome made it into the cinematic loop in my household, probably like later teens.
Oh man, I was a big Pauly Shore. I'm happy. I'm not really happy to admit, but like I will admit, I was a big Pauly Shore fan.
Oh,
in the 90s.
I still dig Pauly Shore, and also Stephen Baldwin's best acting is in this movie. He pulled off that part very well. It's like a Keanu Reeves-esque performance.
Right. It's a pretty good film. Now, in the film Twins that we're reviewing tonight, did you notice that the aerospace engineers who have invented this new fuel injector that is being sold and folks are getting murked over, right? Did you notice they worked at the Biodome?
Oh, we're rolling. Test on the new low temperature gas. It's really great. Right now.
That's kind of fun.
I did not know that.
Now, that's not the real Biodome building. This building's actually in Van Nuys. See,
Gotcha. Similar
Now-
design.
But what? Well, no, that's the building they show. They just show that in Biodome, claiming that's the Biodome, but it's really this building in Van Nuys.
Oh, so it is the same one.
That's the one they show. But there is an actual Biodome in Arizona, though. That's just not what it looks like. That's just the one they used from the film, right?
Right.
As the outside. But and speaking of that, did you know that I think both in the project of the Biodome and the film, Steve Bannon was funding both?
Yeah. I mean, I didn't know he funded the film, but
I'm pretty sure he was a producer on the film as well.
yeah, because a lot of people who caught on to him in the Breitbart days don't realize that he was like a run-of-the-mill Hollywood guy there for a while behind the scenes of a lot of stuff.
Well, I don't know how. Yeah, he was definitely in Hollywood. If you call being business partners with David Geffen,
There you go.
you know what I mean?
Imagine those
But-
parties. That would make
Right.
Diddy look like nothing.
I mean, this is a really wild film. First of all, Patty Hearst makes an appearance. That's wild. Roger Clinton makes an
What?
appearance. That's wild, right?
I didn't know
You got-
either one of those.
You got a Scientologist, Jack Black, right? You're doing a bunch of eco-terrorism nonsense. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe he was definitely involved in the real Biodome. He's not listed as a producer, but I'm pretty sure he was involved in the production of this film. To get back
What
to
happened-
that one,
What happens if you just Google Steve Bannon Biodome?
your computer blows up. Dude, no one wants to talk about Steve Bannon and some of his stuff. Maybe we'll have to do a review on that one in the future. I love Biodome because he was definitely involved in the actual Biodome, which is weird too.
Okay. Where is it? Oh, I got
Go ahead.
something else about Danny DeVito, something he says. So it says that Vincent was placed in an orphanage run by nuns,
And he fucked
Yeah.
one of them.
and he
Yeah.
fucked one of them when he was 13, he said.
I think 12.
Do you want to hear a fun fact about Ed Edwards? He got
Oh, cut out right at the GC
JJ
part.
is out.
JJ.
We have to carry the show.
Well, I can't until he comes back.
Yeah, but this
in my
is
back. In my back.
Yes.
We were gonna
yes.
go on a tangent about nun fucking, and then you
Well, Ed Edwards would get thrown out of the Parmadale orphanage up near Cleveland, Ohio, at the age of almost 13, in part for banging a nun.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
what
That's
did they
I'm saying.
do to the
DeVito
nuns?
reminds me of Ed. What's that?
What did they do to the nuns?
Obviously, the nuns are pedophiles.
Right, but
Yeah, I
did they
was
just
gonna say, yeah.
like cycle them around?
The
Dude,
nuns are
they-
pedophiles.
Yeah, this
Not
one
all of
nun
them.
had this one nun at least had was famous for tying Ed to the tree and doing weird shit to him. So
See, that's what I'm talking about. Mother Teresa type shit. They're all
Yeah.
weirdos. And
but I'm
so-
telling you, when I watch this film again, I've watched it so many times. I watched it when it came out. When I watched it again, though, and again with my Ed Edwards perspectives in my brain hole, I was like, holy shit, Danny DeVito strikes me so much as Ed. He's an ardent con man. He passes himself off as a importer, exporter, a sports agent. He's got a number of titles. You know what I mean? He's always in and out of jail, and he grew up in an orphanage and got thrown out there at the same age Ed did, banging nuns. So it's a lot of similarities.
And you know what? I think that's the weird thing about the names too. Benedict, like all the Catholic stuff.
Well,
and
I was
all
going to
the-
say that's very Catholic.
Julius Caesar, and get back to the Roman shit.
Right. It's got a lot. So I want you to pull up a picture if you can, because there's something interesting about the cathedral place where they chose to film a lot of this stuff. It's called Cathedral Basilia of St. Francis of Assisi.
Did you sneeze?
Have fun Googling that, JJ.
I know.
Angela, maybe they're not all weirdos. I see you in the chat there, but I'm not going to say that they're not 90% weirdos.
Well, let's be honest about the situation. If they're in Hollywood, they're probably all weirdos.
Yeah, no, for sure. And if you sign up to be a nun and you're like, I love God so much, I never want penis inside me. Sorry, you're a weirdo. Just
Yeah.
based on that
There's
alone,
asexual people out there.
there is asexual people that become nuns and then rape kids.
Well, I don't think they're asexual, obviously.
Is
Well,
this your
I'm just
SDC?
saying-
Is this the SDC you're looking for?
Good
Yeah.
job, JJ. I wouldn't have been able to Google that.
So they
To be fair, I just typed in church twins filmings, and this is what came up.
yeah, so they filmed a lot of like this old world architecture stuff throughout the movie. There's another place that's kind of interesting too that
Yeah.
nobody knows when it was built. It was a place in New Mexico, and like there's no date or photographs of it ever being built, like some weird old world stuff. But the keystone in the arch above the entrance to this cathedral.
Oh, my bad. Let me get you a picture here.
Yeah.
Do you remember the name of the other spot? I'll bring up the other locations here.
Yeah, I'll bring up the other one here in just a second. But so the keystone on the arch of this particular cathedral, it's called a tetragrammaton.
Yeah.
And it's supposed to be like this French Catholic church, but it has a tetragrammaton with Hebrew carved in it, and they said it was to thank all of the Jewish something or other that donated to the church for its construction. But I just thought it was weird because they chose this place out of all the other places, and I actually have a picture of the keystone. I don't know if I can.
Yeah, please
show
share
it
because
very well.
I'm trying to zoom in. I can't get in that close to get a good look.
This is the keystone.
Yeah.
What does that look like?
Yeah. That's pretty wild.
You see that? Some
you have a-
Illuminati type shit. I
Do you have
wonder
a
if you
do you have a link, or do you know what I can just type in to bring that up on the screen, you think? Let's see
maybe
here.
just copy and paste the name of the church and then put tetragrammaton or keystone and see if it'll pull
Yeah.
up a picture of it. It's literally some Illuminati weird temple fucking triangle
Yeah, it
shit
looks like Robert Anton Wilson.
with some
book
Hebrew
cover.
stuff. It's supposed to be a French Catholic church, and they got this Hebrew thing.
French Catholic.
Well, it's going to have to be
Well-
Spanish, right? Because the Spanish would have founded it eventually, or
That's
first,
what
right?
I'm saying. Why wasn't it Spanish if that's who? It's called Saint Francis of Assisi, and they got this Hebrew stuff on it in a
Yeah.
triangle.
Well, I'm glad you picked up on this, man. This is an interesting topic here because the settlement of this area is very. It's got some interesting, stories and tales behind it.
Look at this. What did it say? The saint. What did it say? Mystery.
Where you at?
Go back to where you was before.
Oh, down.
No, it showed a picture of the. Did you see it? It showed a picture of the church, and it said something mystery.
Yeah, I had it.
Tetragrammaton mystery.
Yeah, the Santa Fe mystery, the tetragram. There we go.
Yeah, there you go. The tetragrammaton in the triangle. Go down.
Yeah, so the tetragrammaton is what is this symbol
There it
right here,
is.
right?
That's
Yeah.
a shitty picture. It's got a shadow over it.
I know, right?
The Hebrew
Bastards.
name of God appears over the entrance to the cathedral dedicated to Saint Francis of Assisi.
And that's where they
So-
chose to film some twin scenes.
Yeah, that's
So-
supposed to be linked to the orphanage where he got raped when he was 13.
Yep. So this is the tetragrammaton is this little Hebrew inscription inside the triangle, right?
Yeah, they call it the keystone, like
Yep.
fucking Da Vinci Code shit.
Well, that's going to be the keystone because that's the keystone of the archway of this basilica, right over the top, right?
Yeah, I thought that was really
You know what I
significant.
mean? It's like right
Why
here,
this
like
place, you know?
well, yeah, because this is like this article's kind of stating. It looks like it's a mystery why it's in Santa Fe, right?
That's what I have for you on that, though. I just thought that was weird.
That's awesome. So it looks like the story begins in 1869 with Jean Baptiste Lemay, Santa Fe's first archbishop. Very interesting. Yeah, why would they have the tetragrammaton? Because this is a deeply occulted symbol, right?
Mm-hmm. Right.
I don't know.
And
I
it
don't
ends
understand
up-
the exact importance of it, but I do know it's I read
Can
it.
you-
I read about it a lot.
Did you find this after you watched the movie the second time?
Yes.
So I wonder if there's any shots of it.
Well, there's shots of it in there, and
Of the tetra.
Oh no.
Okay.
But there in the other place where they film stuff at is like this Adobe thing with beehives all over it.
Yeah, the
Yup.
artist colony.
Yeah.
Yup.
I thought about moving to that part of New Mexico. It is pretty cool there. There's some kind of weird
Energy.
Oh yeah.
Wow.
So the one thing I noticed along these lines in this tetragrammaton stuff, I like where your head's at. I missed that one completely, but on the door to one of the Nazi experiments, they have this shape of the Key of Solomon tetragrammaton.
What the fuck? I'm telling you, that's why I always say nothing's an accident. Like when you
Yeah.
see stuff in these movies,
Well-
I found a completely separate one than this, and that's fucking crazy.
Let me play a brief clip of what I'm describing. I don't know if you get a great view of it here, but it's on this is the design in squares on the door. Looks just like this.
We sealed this door the day after you were born.
No, that wasn't the one. I had one from the beginning in that same. It's within that lab area. They have a door with that on there.
Oh, in the lab area.
Yeah, I believe that was the lab.
Oh.
I'll double check here while we're talking, but I believe it was the first lab scene. That was the second lab scene, but that is the lab scene where they're like, "Oh yeah, we just unlocked this door for the first time. We don't do more of these experiments. We're friendly Nazis."
Yeah, it's all like abandoned and shit. Like, oh, we don't do this anymore. Okay.
Right. No, I'll find that scene. That is interesting because I'm familiar with both of these tetragrammaton symbols, but I didn't catch that one. But I do find it odd when I keep seeing that square one that pops up in a lot of stuff. In fact, Donald Trump's penthouse there, the Trump Tower, looks like a very similar symbol on the front door.
That's weird.
Yeah. So I don't know how exclusive symbols like that are. I think it's kind of across the board when you're talking about all these keys of Solomon, right?
Mm.
Everyone's about their keys. The Mormons love their keys. Masonry, everybody loves their keys. Everybody loves Solomon's temple. Everyone loves that shit. So
Uh-huh.
yeah. So, but it's definitely not unintentional, right? These things are being
Right. That's what I'm saying. Somebody could listen to this and be like, "Oh, you're totally stretching," but then there's just stuff that doesn't make sense, like the Yakety Yak song. To me, again, it wasn't a funny part of the movie. Then you look and see like what year it came out with all the other stuff and the Professor Warner and the twins telepathy and like all this stuff, and it's like, well, this obviously isn't a fucking accident. Sorry, it's not.
Right, and it's definitely not, but in the same regard, like, why would you be doing these things to insert these things like tetragrammatons in this old Spanish church and tetragrammatons on these door in the King of Solomon tetragrammatons symbol on a door, right?
Right. Like, definitely on purpose. Did you have anything from your notes, babe? I feel like I'm talking over it.
Not about that kind of stuff.
What do you got there? Not Bill Colby.
Oh, we've pretty much talked about a lot of the stuff I wrote down. I think that mainly the Nazi experimentation stuff and just the blatant, almost like product placement of these huge operations in a 1988 movie is what I thought was weird. And yeah, like she mentioned the telepathy thing, and with everything going on right now, after Joe Rogan made the telepathy tapes famous, and the conspiracy podcasters are just kind of swarming around that like piranhas right now.
Yeah, they are.
And like the future of humanity maybe shifted toward a more autistic.
Oh my God, is this real?
That sounds Nazi. That's what you're describing. Sounds very Nazi.
I mean, so I'm just like spitballing a lot of the concepts that they put in this movie.
I think Gavin Newsom's father would agree with you.
They use the
that's-
same moose.
That's Otto von bullshit.
Oh my god.
So again, I think these Nazi things are a far more bigger thing than we understand, even in conspiracy cultures. If we don't understand that that's Otto von bullshit is the father of Gavin Newsom, because in that context, it makes sense what Gavin Newsom's activities and actions are in life. Of course, he's going to do these things. He's a Nazi.
He is. I mean, Gavin Newsom is like, if you could put that guy, just his looks and his mannerisms, you could put him in the villain role, you could put him in the hero role, but he is fucking Aryan looking.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he's kind of like the Nazi's Nazi. You know what I mean? Like, he's the Nazi you want to be if you're a Nazi.
You get to go to the French Laundry during a pandemic. Who the fuck wouldn't want to be that guy?
Right? Spend $1,700 on a piece of baguette or something like that, right? So that's supposed to be his father, a clearly Irishman named Willie Newsom. His sister is let me see if I always get this wrong. He's related to Nancy Pelosi. His sister's married to, I don't know. There's these people all bang each other. Who the fuck cares?
Well, he's also Eskimo brothers with Donald Trump Jr.
That's correct, sir. Through that weird thing that they called itself Kimberly Guilfoyle. But yeah, the Pelosi's and the Newsoms are all linked together through marriage. That's Gavin's supposed to be Nancy's nephew. Maybe Paul Pelosi's married to Willie Newsom's sister. I think that's it. There we go. Anyhow, nonetheless, that doesn't make sense either. Who the fuck cares? These people are weird.
They
all
are
work for the
related
Gettys.
somehow.
Yeah, they're related. They all work for the Gettys, and Otto von Bullshit did too. So you tell me who Gavin Newsom's father is. When you're asking who's your daddy, what does he do? I think we know what Gavin Newsom's daddy was up to and what he did.
Who is this?
He was a prominent SS officer within the Galen Intelligence Network and a corporate dude out of California in the Getty Enterprises, which Willie Newsom was the attorney there in the Getty Enterprises, and that was his mentor in business, allegedly.
What? Oh, fuck me.
Yeah, so they definitely knew each other.
It's very similar to the Castro Pierre situation.
Yeah. So back when we're getting all these topics of how, all these Nazi themes in the 1988 film, the DOJ had only opened up their official investigation, 10 years prior. Otto von Bullshit got outed as a Nazi SS officer in 1980, and he decided, despite being a Nazi SS officer,
Raging weather in
Mm-hmm.
the nether regions of JJ's studio.
am I back?
Yes, you back.
For now.
I don't know where he cut out, but
Oh no! Oh,
Is there a
JJ.
tornado ripping through there?
Oh, JJ.
damn it. Apparently I can't talk about Nazis tonight.
Are you having a tornado?
Perfect weather. We've been hit by the apocalypse in recent days, but right now it's good to go.
It is the Nazi talk.
What was he saying right before he cut out Raging OSS?
He was talking about Gavin.
I'm afraid to say it again. I'm afraid to say it
Just
again.
try it. Let's test fate.
We gotta test it now.
So despite Otto von Bullshit being my shoelace got stuck. My apologies. Where was I at? Oh yeah, von Bullshit. Otto von Bullshit, despite being, again, all these Nazi stuff just now in an 88 film, again, in 1970 it was the first official, investigation of these matters of Nazis in America. In 1980, he gets outed. He's like, oh shit, despite being this super spook dude from the CIA and Nazi stuff and the Galen Network, and despite being the Getty's business dude in charge of all their enterprises, he's like, I'm going to turn Mormon to try to avoid being deported.
That's a good fucking move.
It tells you who's in charge out there in California, despite all these Nazis and stuff,
Wow.
Well, to be fair, the Mormons are Nazis. They didn't let folks who weren't white get the priesthood until 1978. So
Right. That is correct.
And all you blackies out there, the mark of Cain.
Yes. They
Which
need to be
I
more...
have fucking seen black missionaries, and I'm just going,
Right.
This wasn't even like a lifetime ago that you guys were
Dude.
not allowed in.
They needed
Dude,
to
we-
be more white and delightsome.
We
I guess
had
they
a
skipped over that verse.
yeah, right. We had a black family, and we had one black family in my ward. We had one Asian family, and well, they were Japanese, and one Hawaiian family. Now they seem to be okay for the most part in the 80s, but that black family, I don't know, dude. The father of that family stood in the back, dude. It creeped me out. I even said to him one time when I was, probably 8 or 9, I was like, "Hey, man, they got seats up front, And he just kind of looked at me weird.
Stockholm.
Stop.
Freaked me out, dude. He's making me nervous standing up in the back. I don't know what he's doing back there. It's just, why can't he sit down? I understand he obviously joined the church at the time when that wasn't accepted, and that's obviously the joke I'm making about it. But that was a thing in the Mormon church.
Oh my god.
He should have
So
Rosa
just-
Parks that shit. Or
That's what I'm saying, dude. Most folks
Claudette
don't realize that shit was going on until the late 70s.
Yeah, I mean, I can't even believe that you would get any recruits,
Mm-mm.
African American recruits with that kind of history.
Hell no. I can't believe it either.
Well, it's just weird the way they treated things. Again, that Hawaiian family was very well accepted into the ward I was in. In fact, the Mormons invaded Hawaii, I think, in 1871. So they were cool with the Hawaiians. Just, they had certain ethnic groups they had problems with, apparently. I don't know. In fact, one of those Hawaiians I grew up with is on, they also love reality TV and multi-marketing schemes. These are the things the Mormons thrive in. And one of those Hawaiians is on one of those Mormon, we got 72 kids shows. You know what I mean? One of those shows. You know what I mean?
Like
It's all Mormon shit.
Sister Wives.
That fucking
one of them, something like that.
Mormon reality TV industry is getting fucking out of control.
That's what I'm saying, dude. They're all bad.
Mormon
They love
wives.
that more than multi-level marketing, and they love multi-level marketing schemes, dude.
You know what's funny about that?
It's baked in.
JJ, did you ever watch Big Love?
Nah.
Good show.
They
It's a good show.
mentioned one of the wives of the guy gets involved with multi-level marketing, you remember? And the guy
Yeah.
gets mad and
They
like
love it, dude. They love it. Is that Bill Paxton or is that Bill Pullman?
That's Bill Paxton. To call back to the worst alien movie.
I got a real
Game
Paxton
over.
Pullman conundrum. I always get the two confused.
I love Bill Paxton.
I love
I
them
like
both.
them
They-
both.
and they don't look anything alike, but they do play similar enough roles where I do get them confused.
Well,
with who
it's
plays
like,
them which
what's his
role.
name from my best friend's wedding? He's got a similar name, Dermot Mulroney and Dermot
Sure.
McMulney.
I've heard
Like,
that
yeah.
name before. Sounds
Well,
like it might
they're-
be cursing and Celtic, but
They're
go ahead.
they're very generic, like Irish American actors.
Right. I don't disagree.
I
But these
recommend you
Nazis,
to watch Big Love though, JJ.
Big
You'll
Love?
it. Yeah, you'll love
I
it.
tell you to watch Righteous Gemstones, but you're gonna get dick in the face one episode in.
Whoa, I'm out, dude. I'm out.
And it doesn't
Count me
stop.
out, dude. I'm
The
out.
dick in the face never stops with Righteous Gemstones.
McBride has some kind of dick fetish.
Well, there's been no dicks so far in Vice Principals.
Oh, yeah.
So
So we see these Scientologists and these kind of Nazi folks. They're pretty prominent in Hollywood, obviously, in California, generally, like, Otto von Bullshit's son, Gavin. But, it makes you wonder because, Schwarzenegger kind of comes into the Americas, links up with the Kennedys, but he ain't the only Schwarzenegger in town. I don't know if y'all knew that. We're speaking about all these power and the machinations of things behind the scenes. Well, his nephew not also named Arnold. His nephew's named Patrick. Patrick Schwarzenegger is a partner at this major talent agency in Hollywood.
really,
And before
What's
he
his
did
first
that,
name?
his name's Patrick.
Patrick.
like his
Just
son.
Yeah, but this is his brother's son. This is this is Arnold's nephew.
They fought over the name and they both won.
So this fella, before he was a power broker in 2020 at that agency, when it combined with another agency, he was the assistant to Tommy Mottola.
Really?
Are y'all familiar with that name?
I've heard it many times.
Oh, this is the Sony Music guy that, I think Michael Jackson blamed for that whole fire incident or whatever. He was always at war with Tommy Mottola. This is the same guy that Mariah Carey's got all those complaints about. This is the Sony Music kind of dark overlord fella.
Okay. Wow. Fuck.
And from 1994 to like 2004, Arnold or Patrick Schwarzenegger was his sidekick there. And now he's a super agent.
The fact that I always say, though, just putting this out here, I always say I don't know why people get so upset about political stuff, because it's all just actors and it's all stage and it's all theater. And the fact that Schwarzenegger became the governor of anything should tell people that this is all staged, this is all theater.
But he was calling out the economic girly men.
I don't care what he was calling out. It's completely
well.
ridiculous.
If you think about it, all these weird gubernatorial matters revolve around a lot of these things we're talking about with the Nazi matters and those damn serial killers like Ted Bundy's dad brought home. Because we got Ronald Reagan. He thrives as being elected governor, under these pretenses of all of this murder happening in California. We need someone in there to put in charge to take care of, lay down the law, right? But
he
really,
does it in the movies. He fucking beat the Predator. How could he not?
Well, I'm talking about Ronnie, dude. Ronald Reagan was
Ronnie
doing
too.
In the old westerns, right?
Definitely.
So we see him pop in there, you know what I mean? And then we see him battling by what Ed Sanders, the author of The Family, in the Charles Manson stuff would say, was old Jerry Moonbeam Brown, a lay member of the Process Church, would be the person that Reagan's battling forth against. And then we get more terms later of Jerry Brown, and then we get Jerry Brown's assistant, Gray Davis, and that's who gets run out of office in the run out of election that brings us the gubernator.
The gubernator.
So we don't get very far away from the same cult bastards, because there's a lot of not only is there process connections to the death of the Kennedy boys, old Teddy Kennedy had a lot of process connections, and he lived.
If we're picking actors to become like political figures and we're letting fucking RFK in there with his crazy voice, can't we have somebody cool like Michael J. Fox or something? Like, why do we get stuck with all these fucking retards?
What are you talking about, man? We have a Nazi science experiment marrying a Kennedy and producing us, other Mexican offspring. You know what I mean? Mexican Arnold offsprings.
I would vote for Michael J. Fox. That's all I'm saying. Who would you vote for?
Fucking nobody.
You would.
I don't vote.
Yeah, I don't. I agree with you, sir. I don't vote either. Voting's dumb.
I'm politically informed, and that's why I don't vote.
Yeah. Elections didn't matter in 1803, 1876.
They never fucking mattered.
2000. I'm missing one in the 1830s, I think, but not the first time, Not the first time these things haven't mattered, but it does make you wonder, these power brokers, because again, we see a Scientologist in this film as well, and they're not far behind as far as power brokers in Hollywood.
Well, so I'm just going to say something, and I don't want to tangent too much, but I was on a podcast the other day. I won't get into all the details, but the guest said, because Scientology is a really cool religion about science. And I was like,
did you say squeeze me baking powder?
I said,
why aren't you
in my mind?
Who the fuck said that?
In my mind, I was going, where is JJ? Where is JJ? I need JJ to come.
Somewhere off in space, I understood these things were happening, and I just had Kill Bill sirens alerting off my brain hole at the very same time, because that's a preposterous notion to even try to back up. Like, it's about science.
Do you guys know who Brandon K. Williams is?
I don't, sir, but I would like to hear about him.
Well, he goes on all of these fucking shows. He came on my show a couple years ago. He's been on Tinfoil Hat. He's trying to get on Rogan, but he's basically the state national guy, not to be confused with sovereign citizen, because that's an oxymoron. He calls it state national movement. Sure. And we interviewed him for like almost 2 hours, and then he tells us he's a Scientologist.
Sure.
And and my co-host was like, dude, we need to get you back on to talk about that. And we haven't had him back on yet, but
dude, all of that sovereign citizen movement comes out of these same ancient alien cargo cult fucking Looney Tunes.
But you basically have to have really badass fucking parents who get you started the right way, because to do it from right now, it's almost impossible. But it is doable. But when I found out he was a Scientologist, it just kind of threw me for a loop about.
That would have thrown everything for a loop.
No, that computes, dude. That computes, because again, most of this movement came out of the Nation of Islam, folks. A lot of this sovereign citizen stuff did, and oh shoot, what's that? Not Christian, the Muslim science or whatever. I'll come up with it in a second. It's the same movement that brought us this. It would spawn Wesley Snipes and his sovereign citizen empire, along with ardent pedophile and child sex trafficker Dwight York, the man who basically invented hip hop, and their sovereign citizen campaign on 400 acres in Georgia to build an Egyptian themed city, complete with its own unlicensed nightclub on a bunch of mounds, and then apparently diddle and traffic a bunch of children. That was their idea of sovereignty.
God.
That's what they call sovereignty.
Wow.
These sovereign citizen movements of everything. The only thing I find in common is kid diddling.
Yeah.
And
yeah,
aliens.
Well,
aliens and kid diddling seem to go together there.
That looks like some shit from George Hodell's house.
Yeah. Morris science is, that's where Dwight York comes from, the Nation of Islam. Nation of Islam today is Scientology. Leah Remini signed them all up, signed up Louis Farrakhan, and he signed up the entire church before, she hopped a different spaceship out of there. But she still does Scientology stuff. She's part of that whole independent Scientology or process movement.
She's like a false defector then?
Well, they all want to do their own thing, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, because
she seems to want to take out David Miscavige out of power, and that seems to be her interest. Because if you go on her website right now, she'll tell you on her website to donate to the Best Friends Animal Society. That's the process.
Yeah,
that's right. That Best Friends.
She had that A&E special, and then she went on Rogan when he was kind of blowing up. And he's also under the spotlight right now on whether he's a Scientologist or not.
I'll answer that for you. Yes, and
to get ahead of that, he's doing a false. I'm a Christian now.
I was gonna say.
Well, this is all very processing of him. This is all very processing of him.
Bert Kreischer called him out on that Two Bears One Cave podcast, and
I heard that. And
yeah,
I heard. Bert Kreischer's one to be talking. His career's made from Scientology.
How so? I think we talked about this before, but I forgot.
When Scientology invaded Clearwater, Florida in circa 1978-79, they set up a bunch of LLCs and then one day bought up a bunch of property and said, oops, surprise, we're all Scientology. The attorney that helped them do that was Albert Kreischer II, or Senior.
It's
am I back?
Yeah, I thought it was us.
Oh, it might have been. So that was Bert Kreischer's dad. That was the real estate attorney, him and his partner that they hired to invade Clearwater, Florida.
You know who played Bert Kreischer's dad in the movie they just did?
Was it a Nazi science experiment?
Yes, you know the answer. Luke Skywalker, motherfucker.
Yeah, dude. So, like, my opinion of the process is they're just the dark wing of Scientology. My opinion of Leah Remini is she's somewhere near the top of that because she's telling folks to donate money to it while actively attacking David Miscavige. So, her background, she's not always completely forward about this. She claimed she never got a freeloaders bill. Get the fuck out of here. So, she signed a $1 billion contract at the age of 13. Now, if you want to leave that $1 billion contract, they're going to hit you with a six-figure freeloaders bill, right? And in doing that, she's made various statements in regards to these matters, but they're all conflicting. And she was Shelley Miscavige's assistant. So, both L. Ron Hubbard started this thing called the messenger service where, him and his wife and other executives would have a bunch of teenagers running around. L. Ron had one to hold his ashtray, another one to hold his cigarettes, another one to hold his lighter, this kind of thing. And then they would go run messages for him and whatnot. Well, that's what Leah did for Shelley Miscavige when she signed that $1 billion contract at the age of 13.
Somebody put in the comments that Mark Wahlberg is repping for Best Friends Animal Society. And I find that highly interesting because even when David McGowan was researching for Program to Kill, and he did that chapter on like how the process and like the trickle down, and then he did Scientology, trickle down. He mentioned Best Friends,
right,
in Program to Kill,
right.
So it's like all these assholes are wrapped up in all this shit.
Well, I'm pretty sure he was in communications with Maury Terry. I've seen some things to cause me to believe that. And if so, he had all the process information then from if he had, because communicating with Terry.
I mean, didn't he write that book because of the Ultimate Evil Program to Kill? He kind of just kept the research going.
Yeah, I mean, it's certainly heavily influenced by it, right?
Yeah, it seemed like that was the case.
You know, I still haven't read that yet.
You should, because the Netflix series is a really fucking
Wait a
sugar-coated.
second. What Netflix series?
The one about Son of Sam.
Oh.
Yeah, I was going to mention that. Twizzlestick said Bert is Van Wilder. I heard that too. Didn't he even sue National Lampoon or whoever produced that movie?
Well, I don't know if he did that. He definitely is. So Rolling Stone magazine came to Florida State University, I think in '96, and they were like, because they got voted the #1 party school in America, and they're like, who's the #1 party animal on campus? And everyone said Bert Kreischer. He was on his 7th year of school, you know what I mean? And so they followed him around for a week, and they made him end up making him the cover of the Rolling Stone article. Oliver Stone would then license the options Will Smith would pay him I think $100,000 as a discovery deal kind of deal, the development deal. And then they developed that script, which Oliver Stone purchased, and then it got later licensed into Van Wilder. Right. But look, Will Smith, dude, come on. Will Smith's he was a Scientologist for sure at that time. I would argue still today. So we see Scientology made Bert Kreischer.
Right.
I don't think, you really can't.
It's like saying I used to be in the CIA and I'm 38. Yep. I retired.
Yeah, and Kreischer famously tells a story where he's like telling his dad about Will Smith. He's like, "Oh, buddy, that guy wants to bang you." But like, let's be all of these Kreischers were hooked to Scientology. Bert's sisters are executives of like Fox and Disney, dude. You don't think that's a Scientology related thing?
Mm-hmm. What's that one guy that was always hanging out with Will Smith? Jones.
Jazzy Jeff?
No, I thought it was
Quincy.
Like Quincy.
Quincy fucked him.
Yeah, Quincy.
Who?
Quincy Jones.
Quincy Jones.
Oh, well, that dude. He's like the Black David Geffen.
Yeah. No doubt.
Yeah.
I don't think his daughter's a daughter.
Rashida?
Yeah, come on, man.
Is that the name?
Mainly features.
She was in. You've seen her in movies. Yeah.
She started off in The Office, right? Didn't she?
Then she was in Park. She was in the later seasons of The Office. Then she did Parks and Rec.
I thought it was The Office first, and then
no.
Is it okay? Yeah. Is it Parks and Rec first?
No, she did The Office and then did Parks and Rec after.
Okay, that's what I thought. Yeah, it doesn't bode well for her because I call The Office the real trannies of Scranton, PA.
Yeah, she's in I Love You, Man.
She's in I Love You, Man.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I bet she loves a lot of men.
You think that's a dude?
No, he's saying it's not his daughter.
I think most, if not all, the female cast of The Office are dudes. Yes.
Oh, so you're saying it's the son? I thought we were going on another "This is not your daddy" game.
No, well, I mean, I don't know about that, but I just think when we're starting to talk about all these Nazis experiments and stuff, we see the junior stuff with the transgender stuff, all these Nazi transgender stuff with the process stuff, right? Like, I don't think it's a stretch. There is a lot of folks that we call women, or for that matter, men, I guess, for the same, where they've inverted the genders on these sons of bitches there in Hollywood.
Well, both Will Smith's kids, there's an argument.
Yeah, dude. Dude,
and
his
they even
son
hint at it with the naming
concept. I was gonna say, I always.
His son is the major model for a fucking women's fashion design, dude. Come on, get out of town.
And the daughter is just a badass bitch. She's like
big wide shoulders, though.
Yeah, she's the one I like. Like, she fucking makes good music, and she would probably kick the fuck out of her brother.
Yeah, and Charlize Theron, dude, that's a dude. Get out of town.
That one pisses me off, where she's got all these kids that she got from Africa, and she's.
That's what I'm saying, dude. So not only is it transgendered, it brings in 2 young African boys and said, "Congratulations, you're an American now, and you're a girl."
Right. But at least you got food, fucker. I saved you.
Yeah,
so we're gonna invert that cock.
Yeah, here's a blonde wig. You're a Disney princess.
Yeah, that one gets me. And Megan Fox is like 3 for 3 with trans.
Dude, have you seen the movie Tully?
Tully? I don't think.
So this is when I got real heavy into my Charlize there on as a dude.
So you telling me
conspiracy
all
theories.
of Charlize Theron's kids are trannies?
She's adopted some kids from Africa.
She's only
And they're
got
all
2 kids.
trannies.
Yeah, they're little African boys. She turned into
But
girls.
Megan Fox.
Congratulations, you're a Disney princess.
Oh my god.
So in this film, she
Oh,
plays a
this
pregnant
is
woman.
This is Ivan Reitman's son,
Yeah.
Jason. He did the most
So
recent
he's
Ghostbusters.
into all this
Well,
stuff
fuck,
too.
who are we reviewing
Fuck
right
yeah,
now?
they
made
are.
twins.
His dad did Junior.
Ghostbusters.
Well, you know what? Now that I'm thinking of it, the new Ghostbusters with Paul Rudd, the newest one, the Frozen Empire, they sneak a lot of weird, like,
Oh, if they,
autism is the future stuff, and like,
if they make a third Ghostbusters spinoff, because they've done 2 now, will be that transition from the
little girl.
Egon's niece or granddaughter or whatever.
Granddaughter.
She'll be going boy. Like they're really.
Oh,
Yeah.
dude, all day, dude. They've been working towards that all day, dude. And that other fella, her brother.
She's kind of a tomboy in the first movie. Now she's a lesbian, and if there's a third,
Well, they're saying she's autistic and a lesbian.
well, all the fucking trans people that are
Well,
autistic is
you
what
can't be
this-
one
yeah.
without the other, Julie. You got to get both.
The whole thing about autism being the future, I know that shit's on purpose, and I disagree because, again, I was on a podcast recently and they were hinting at they think that autism is the future, and I just completely
Well,
disagree.
that's what the
because-
transhumanists want us to think.
But the thing is, the whole autistic thing being the future, that wasn't a thing until the 90s vaccines were rolled out and everybody became fucking autistic. Now it's the future.
Well,
Michael Jackson said children of the future.
Yeah,
autistic children.
Autistic children.
But
And
that was until the Schwarzenegger guy got a hold of Michael Jackson because he used to work for Time Mottola.
And I'm not like shitting on autism. I think it's a real thing, but there's this whole other level now where they're pushing for it to be
The future.
yeah, and it's you go back to Star Trek, the OG series, and you look at the Vulcans.
Yeah, that's essentially what they want.
Well, yes,
Well,
sir.
and
It's a brave new world. They're trying to make a brave new world where no one can procreate, right? So they want to control all elements of society, including procreation, and that's why we get the inverted gender of these cult bastards, and that's why we see this fat dude who gained a beer belly here playing a pregnant woman. So by its own admittance, she gained 80-pound beer belly for this role. Why the fuck would a woman do that?
What movie is this?
This is that Tully film.
Oh, okay, because I saw her in
It's a
I
fucking
think
beer belly, dude. That's a. Why would you do that?
Have you seen Monster?
Yeah, dude, I have seen that where she plays Eileen Wuornos.
Yeah. And then she turns around and plays Megan Kelly.
Yeah, dude.
Pulls both of them off perfectly.
Look at her
Well,
belly.
let's be honest. Charlie's a very diverse actor.
You could say that.
Charlize was a huge crush of mine when I was in high school. by
Fuck
the way.
off.
Oh, yeah.
Are you serious?
Saw her naked in the Devil's
Well, no,
Advocate.
she was sold. Yeah, she was sold to all the youngsters, the young men of America in the '90s and reindeer games. As they were introduced to Charlie as a topless young female, and I'll tell you what, her breast size mystery is worse than Britney Spears.
Well,
they're always
Ben,
changing.
Ben Affleck too, and we all know about his connections.
Hey.
Ben Affleck has breasts.
No, just his CIA connections. I mean, her first
Oh,
big
oof.
role was Reindeer Games.
I was about to say. I mean, I'm not.
Well,
I could see Ben Affleck being a lady. That wouldn't surprise
There
me.
was that movie called 2 Days in the Valley.
Is it Charlize?
I love that film.
She's like topless on the poster.
But
of that
wait a
movie.
second.
Yeah, they showed her titties in that and reindeer games, don't they? But here's the deal,
No,
bud.
I'm saying
Remember-
astronaut's wife because of the weird twins thing.
All right.
And the
Do you remember the film Barbed Wire?
Pam?
Yeah, that was not her though. That was superimposed. She was not the one posed naked in that, despite allegedly being, doing the Playboy stuff, right?
On the poster? Or in the movie at all?
In the film, that was not her naked. They superimposed
Oh,
a
they did
naked
a
lady
body
on.
double.
Yeah.
Kind of like they did with Brooke Shields when she was
Well,
fucking like 12. In the Blue
Well, no, they
Lagoon.
did that. That was her, dude. She was 10. She was 10.
She said that she decided during that movie that she wanted a body double because she'd been in an earlier movie where they made her get naked and she was like,
Oh, well, that's the earlier one I'm
Really?
talking about. I was about to say, I don't
Yeah.
want to bring it up. I'll throw up my mouth again, but
no,
she was
Brooke
10.
Shields. There's something right now on X that's circulating around showing people like a grown men interviewing her when she was like fucking 14, and And then her virginity became a huge thing when she was like in her early 20s, late teens. Like that whole thing is
Wasn't
disgusting.
she in a Playboy thing? The
Yes.
salty and spicy or whatever they call it?
At
Naughty
the
and
age of
nice?
10.
That's what I'm
She was,
talking about.
she was doing cocaine, probably near and around Bob Cocaine Evans at Studio 54 at the age of 10 while posing in Playboy.
Dang.
And starring in a film, and starring in a film in that same year in that role that the Playboy was about, a 10-year-old prostitute. Fuck out of here. This is crazy.
That is fucking crazy.
That's what I'm saying. So when we think about this cult of Hollywood and folks, I don't think these things are all that crazy, especially when you're talking about Nazi stuff, right? Like, I mean, it's pretty sick people, right?
That's why I said, JJ, for Halloween, we need to cover that movie called The Unborn. You will really like it.
Let's look at Fat Charlie's stomach for a second while I bring that up.
That looks like a prosthetic.
I will bring up an interview where you can watch her describe and not just read it, where she describes she put on beer belly. She chugged beer every night, she said, or he said. That means probably better describe that way.
This was
I don't know.
She's playing pregnant.
Yeah, she's playing a pregnant lady in the film, and she just said, "I'm gonna chug a bunch of beer and run around with this small African child that adopted from my, and across the world, and said you're a girl now." And then these are the decisions Charlie Theron was making back in 2010 or so. There,
it's like I saved you from Africa, so you don't have to wear 2 sizes too small Crocs all the time. Just be happy.
Yeah, and give me a beer, bitch. That's what she said to him. God, Mama's got to put on weight for this role. That's what she screamed at him. I heard.
So I was gonna have Colby watch this movie the other day, but I don't think he would be into it. But the plot is really, in my opinion, conspiratorial for a horror film. Because most of the time when you watch a horror film these days, they just try to like put a bunch of stupid shit in there that don't make sense. Or like it's not actually that scary.
For sure.
This one's got like a really good backstory to it. And it's kind of goes along the same lines as the movie we're discussing tonight.
I definitely don't want to watch it now. It's fucking Michael Bay production.
Oh, you think he sucks?
Yeah.
Really?
Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you. Keep going.
No, you think it's sexist and stuff?
No, I was joking. You said I wouldn't like it, so
I don't think you would.
But
Michael Bay is kind of like the Fat Charlie of Hollywood directors.
I didn't want to say it because she got so upset, but
I don't pay attention to those things.
Well, at least he's not the director.
Is he not the director?
No, he's producer. So anyway, keep going.
No, it's about twins.
Okay.
It's about twins. And it goes into all this stuff about Joseph Mengele and stuff. And they make it integral to the storyline, but also make it horrifying.
So it kind of sounds like American Horror Story type style.
Yeah. It's actually like if you took American Horror Story season Asylum and mixed it with Murder House, and so you'd get this.
Why do you think I wouldn't like it?
The jump scares.
I said if a horror movie relies on jump scares are fine, but if that's the whole fucking this is why this movie's scary.
There's a lot of them.
Well, that's fine
in there.
But
I mean, this is a very good Nazi themed film. I like where your head's at here. I'll definitely like to join you all for a future film review.
This will be the darker side of Twins, even though
this is actually the darker side of Twins. I think it would be good for like Halloween or something.
Like it legit is, because these Nazi human experiments, especially with children, was definitely Mengele style, right?
Yes.
He loved twins.
He loved twins. That is right.
That's what I'm saying. So this is like
Danny DeVito's real dad.
This is Danny DeVito's actual dad, Joseph Mengele. Who is his daddy? What did he do? Made a lot of twins and weird experiments like tonight's film. That's what I'm saying. Like in 1988, I assure you, the ideas of Joseph Mengele were not very prominently known, but they were obviously well entrenched in tonight's film discussion we're reviewing tonight. And I do thank you both for your time here tonight as we close this thing out, bringing it for Landon. Thank you folks at the interwebs for joining us. I do like your ideas for some Halloween themed stuff, and I would like to put that notion on your all's calendar. I'm gonna do some every month of Halloween's obviously gonna focus on some Halloween filmed theme reviews, right? But themed film. There we go. Film reviews. Have y'all ever heard of this one? I'd like to also put this one on your all's horizon. It's not a Nazi thing, but it's a very kind of Philip K. Dick thing. We were talking some Total Recall stuff.
Ooh, it's
Philip
got
K. Dick
Edward
style.
Furlong in it.
Yeah, well, he's got some interesting German roots. We'll get into that at a later date. But
I mean, American History X wasn't far off the mark.
there you go, sir. A lot of Nazi stuff in there, right? Right in your face hole. Right in that one dude's face hole when he got curb stomped.
Right. See, this makes me think of Cronenberg, I guess, probably because of Scanners, but even the poster.
I've never seen Scanners.
It's like the tamest Cronenberg movie there is, but it's really fucking good.
Is it?
Yeah.
Davey Wavy from Red Pill Cartel podcast told me I needed to watch Scanners.
Well, it's like ultimate MK Ultra weaponized humans kind of thing.
That's what he said. Yeah, you know, JJ, I know you're familiar with Davey, but if you're gonna do horror movies or Halloween themed stuff, I hope he's available because he's loves talking about that stuff. He's all the way up in it like we are.
Oh, for sure. I've heard of Davey, but have you heard of Ted?
There's thousands of Americans out there. By the way, I've been shot with a laser beam twice.
Twice. No, I definitely would like to get Davey Wavy on for some horror stuff. That seems to be his genre. He was supposed to join us for that Ghost Stories, but he lost electricity that night.
Yeah. No, I'm already thinking of October, and it's not even August yet.
Well, you're going to be nursing a 1-month-old.
So what?
That's what I was going to ask you. Are you going to be back online by then? You're going to be taking a break? You said
she thinks she's going to be.
I mean, I might be putting the cart before the old horse here. But...
Hey, I'm a free babysitter while you guys review Halloween movies.
Yeah,
I can sit those out for the most part.
That brain scan one is a horror film, but it's super PKD in the sense of Philip K. Dick style's dystopian kind of nature of reality. And it's very interesting. So dude gets this is of the early onset of the 90s VR rage, which if you remember, it's equally as shitty as the recent VR rage, but slightly less expensive. And the idea was he got a CD-ROM disc. This is at the early onset of PC gaming. And he gets this disc and he plays this very, intensive reality game. And he thinks he wakes up, but he's really just stuck in the game. Spoiler alert from a film in 1993. He's really just stuck in the game, and it's pretty fucked up. But Frank Langella, he plays this villain dude, and he's fucking creepy.
I will watch it.
Super good. I watched it again recently. I was actually surprised how well it plays. And speaking of all this kid diddling stuff, Furlong got diddled pretty good and hard there. I mean, kind of a pun intended. There in Hollywood. If you recall, he was openly dating his stand-in on the film Terminator when he was 15. She was 28.
Ooh.
He had a chick stand in on the. Cause I guess that makes sense.
Yeah, dude. And he got emancipated from his folks because they were like, "Yeah, we're gonna chop this in half, bud. You ain't dating no 28-year-old." And she seems to have really wrecked the man's life, amongst other things.
Well, he spun out pretty hard after that, and I think he
got
kind
diddled,
of held on.
Yeah,
it makes sense. He's like another Corey Haim kind of thing.
Well, at least his, I mean, I guess this in Eddie's case, I guess it was a female, but Haim's, I think it was Charlie Sheen, but he won't say that.
Among others.
Feldman won't say. Feldman dances around that subject, but
do you know why? Because Feldman was covering for his friend that was doing it. Charlie Sheen might have done that on the set of Rudy, no doubt. I wouldn't fucking be surprised at all. But there was another guy that Corey fucking Feldman was actually kind of like making it happen, it seems like. And
really?
Yeah, that guy's not.
That sounds about right.
He's not a white hat like a lot of.
Whoa.
No. Can we both agree on that? Can we all three agree on this? That
yes.
Michael Jackson, if he diddled anyone, he diddled Corey Feldman.
Oh.
Dude, he's 54 years old. He just turned 54 on July 16th. We celebrated here in Operation GCD. And you imagine he's 54. He still thinks he's Michael Jackson. I mean, that boy got some good dicking, if you ask me. 54 years old, still running around here.
You just lost my mom. She was watching.
Oh, damn.
She'll die on that hill.
My apologies, not Bill Colby's mother. No, actually, there is a strong argument outside of this freak of nature who runs around thinking he's Michael Jackson. There's a strong argument made that there's a lot of that is bullshit.
Well, I think that he.
Wait, what's bullshit? That
Did
Michael was touching kids?
Yeah.
I don't think Michael Jackson was capable of diddling. I think he could have been inappropriate. He definitely admitted to inappropriate activity, giving kids wine, sleeping in the same bed as kids. I don't think he fucking had a functioning dick. I think that HBO shit was, that HBO documentary was bullshit. But I do think he was probably not fucking cool either with kids.
Yeah, I would agree with your assessment. Sir, he went on Barbara Walters and joyfully described a Culkin sandwich. Macaulay on one side, Kirkin on the other, and Jacko in the middle. You know what I mean?
Who on the other
sandwich
side?
Going Kirkin, the Kirkin Culkins.
Oh,
Macaulay's brother.
Oh,
he's in a bunch of shit now, right? I think his name's Kieran Culkins.
Kieran, yeah.
Kieran.
I'd like to buy a vowel, please, for that man's name.
So you're saying you think he did diddle?
I mean, it's hard to believe a man joyful. I mean, again, there's the evidence they present against. Here's my conundrum. The evidence they present against the man is obviously bullshit, right? So, but that is, again, it's not mutually exclusive. He may have diddled folks. I mean, look at Feldman again. He's running around here like like that's his daddy. We know who your daddy is, Corey, and it's Michael Jackson. Right. And we don't have to ask what he did. But, the thing is, when you present bullshit evidence, like demonstrable bullshit, and have to lie about shit, like, it causes the question what's really going on there. Again, he still could be doing those things. I'm not saying that, but because, again, it's hard to defend a man who joyfully describes having himself a nice little Culkin sandwich in his bed,
Well, giving
Kieran on one side and, Macaulay on the other, just, packing them in there.
Yeah.
He gets in the bed with them. Tell me right now, if your kid came home and was like, Michael was in the bed with me and he gave me wine and then he rubbed my back.
He gave me Jesus juice is what Michael called it. Well, I think that Michael Jackson was likely chemically castrated by his father to maintain his voice. That's a theory I heard a while ago, and it seems plausible. You look at his frame, you listen to his voice. So whether he was able to penetrate these children, I definitely think he was being very fucking inappropriate, and I would have fucking killed him.
What if he just was fondalizing them?
Still,
I'm just saying, you don't think he even fondalized them?
I mean, it seems likely that he was very inappropriate, so I wouldn't be surprised. No,
he would say, "I'm gonna take you in a hot air balloon, and we're gonna go over Neverland." And it's after you get up there,
something that's overlooked about the whole Michael Jackson saga is his sexual abuse as a child. Because it's no, he never had a childhood. He toured so much, but
he did have sex.
There was shit going on. His dad was a piece of shit, and he was tossed into the industry, much like Macaulay Culkin, who he really bonded with. So I'm thinking it's so
he really bonded with him, all right.
Well, it's multi-layered, and
there was two Culkins. It was a double layer of Culkin, two Culkin sandwich.
So anybody who says that Michael wasn't sexually assaulted as a child, they're just ignorant. They're ignorant.
They are ignorant.
They're so ignorant.
Well, we keep looping back into these same very relevant subjects tonight's discussion. And here, as we close it out here, I'll offer y'all a moment and some time to make some closing remarks and any plugs necessary. But I did, as we're talking about old Jacko here, I forgot that Michael Jackson and his then wife Lisa Marie Presley were also in attendance at the wedding nuptials of John Travolta and co-star of tonight's film, Kelly Preston.
Oh yeah,
Lisa Marie, a lifelong Scientologist, courtesy of her mother Priscilla.
Right. And there's a whole other thing with that too. I mean, Priscilla, what's this?
Macaulay Culkin. No, it connects directly to it. So Macaulay Culkin had a band. It was a Velvet Underground based band, which Velvet Underground Lou Reed process.
Right.
So Macaulay Culkin's got a Velvet Underground themed band, Pizza Underground. That donut shop out by y'all in Portland is with their main hub, Voodoo Donuts. He's got a sponsorship where they're
tied into Brock Pierce and that cohort. But Also,
No, even better.
Yeah.
They're tied into James Alefantis.
Exactly. And Macaulay Culkin also has a podcast called Bunny Ears. So, I mean, the symbology that he uses, you definitely know. And I mean, he went on Joe Rogan's podcast and was willing to fucking talk all this shit about his dad when they were on the road together. And I got some vibes like there was some stuff going on that he didn't talk about. He hates his dad. He talks about
he got emancipated from his father, right? So it's the same kind of deal, right?
I mean, I'm not going to go out there and say anything that allegations that I haven't heard.
Don't be ignorant.
But it just sounds like there was.
Well, what kind of? You're a man. You got children, sir. I'm a man. I got one son. What father allows their children to go be a Culkin sandwich around Michael Jackson?
That's what I'm saying. It doesn't add up.
Culkin on each side
at all whatsoever.
Smash them in there. 2 layers of Culkin. So, in regards to all these matters, though, I think it is interesting because well, with the connections of Pizzagate to Donutgate, we'll offer you this. The fellow that makes the child-sized coffins that the Voodoo Donuts uses as donut boxes was seen on James Alefantis' Instagram with James Alefantis in that coffin workshop with dude making some, as dude's making some of them coffins. So there's a direct connection between Pizzagate and what is known as Donutgate. Besides the symbols, right? Because the symbol of Voodoo Donuts comes from that same FBI report that was released by Julian Assange in 2009, and all the left won the There's a 2009 Slate article celebrating Julian Assange releasing that report until you connect John Podesta and gang to it, and they're like, whoa, who is this Nazi Julian Assange releasing this obviously false report? Bitch, it says FBI law enforcement only at the top. You know what I mean? Y'all were celebrating it a few years ago, but it's the symbol that brought together the two things, right? The donut shop and the pizza shop, but there's also more connections. The people, the coffin manufacturer, etc. Creepy Nazi shit, if you ask me. All the shit's Nazi shit. The Nazis invaded America in 1947 with all these bastards, these genetics programs, all the shit. And the National Security Act of 1947 is what they helped instill into our structural within our government and in the organizations it formed. And since then, we've all dealt with the matters of national security, and free speech cannot exist in America under the National Security Act of 1947 or any other national security acts. It's a Nazi act.
Everything is Nazi.
Fuck yeah. And speaking of Nazis, I got one statement here before I turn over to y'all here to close it out. Got a Nazi Satanist told Muppy Mike Aquino and gang in my 6 degrees of Michael Aquino tomorrow night, trying to understand the environment in which this fellow operated in and starting these massive psychological operations in the Phoenix program Come Home, right? Because Anton LaVey, everyone wants to claim he's a carnival barker. Get the fuck out of here. His mentor was an international fucking arms trafficker who was honestly an actual dark magician, if you will, as opposed to, Crowley would be like the pop culture version of this guy. This guy was real fucking dark. They're all behind the early onset of the Church of Satan, and everyone's like, no, he owns a strip club. Yeah, one of the Manson girls just happened to be there, but he's a carnival barker. I mean, get the fuck out of here, dude.
Why are they saying he's a carnival barker?
That's the going rate with him, though. That's always the propaganda line, much like the propaganda line in that Son of Sam documentary. The Process Church disbanded in 1974. Get the fuck out of here, dude. You only can believe that if you don't believe your own senses, and that is the point of the the psyop to mind war of Michael Aquino and gang, and this satanic panic nonsense that includes satanic murders and satanic ritual abuse. And telling everyone don't trust your senses. These are not the Satanists you're looking for.
I am wearing my Hunter S. Thompson shirt today.
There you go. He was right up there in the mix with all these characters, wasn't he?
I know. I can't help but think about it because he's somebody that I idolized for a while.
Me too.
I'm not any different. I did enjoy the man's writings.
And you liked the Grateful Dead, so you're worse than me.
Dude, I was a huge deadhead, dude. The entire wall of my bedroom from the age of like 14 to 17 when I lived there in that room, growing up as a teenager, was a huge Grateful Dead poster. I mean, like literally the whole 8x8 kind of deal, right? And it's I was that big of a deadhead,
I never got the pull. I don't know. I probably wasn't
Well,
doing drugs early enough to like.
There you go. That's important. You got to smoke some pot. I had a cousin who was a big deadhead. She got me into it. My aunt followed the dead out west and never came back. So never. No, she's still with us. I'm just saying she never came back from the out west.
I thought you meant she never came back from a dead.
Yeah,
just followed.
Well, I saw after I said that I realized that's what it sounded like, so I had to correct it. But
she
she was a big
sandwiches in parking lots for the rest of her life.
She's just smelling like patchouli farts and incense. That's what it smells like at a fish show, dead show. I've never been to a fish show, but dead shows are I've been to a further festival. I guess that's the closest I've been.
Yeah, I stay away from shit like that. I spent some time in Eugene, Oregon, and I've got to know the deadheads way too well because that's all where they all went. The ones that still like the dead, they all live in Eugene.
In Montana.
The ones that still follow the dead anyway. I mean, I don't think they're horrible musicians. Don't get me wrong, but when I found out about their fucking involvement in all of the goddamn CIA bullshit, I was kind of glad. It's like, no wonder I hated that.
Dude,
music.
CIA, Tavistock, and Bohemian Grove, and people still want to say the Deadhead aren't some sort of spook god.
But I still love all the Laurel Canyon bands, no matter what.
Okay. Well, I try not to. Yeah, I understand what you're saying. I find myself listening to a lot of grunge music still, but I try not to.
Laurel Canyon 2.0.
For sure. I try not to introduce too many psychological operations to my brain hole. But as I offer you all some closing statements, and I want to thank you all both for joining me here tonight for the film review to get a little GCD. And I'm going to send y'all off with some horrible, just nightmare thoughts of Fat Charlie here and its 50-pound beer belly for that film. But do you have any other closing commentary?
First, you go ahead.
If you really care about my podcast, go listen to the beginning of the episode. I'm not going to say it again, but you can go.
You don't have any closing thoughts on the movie?
No, I got it all out. I mean, Nazis rule. Arnold Schwarzenegger is really hot.
God.
His fucking pecs in this movie have a mind of their own.
He's hideous.
I like the movie. I grew up with it.
Do you think it's funny?
As a kid, I did. Watching it the other night, I was like, yeah, this is a kid's movie, but why are they putting fucking aerospace laboratories and Nazi experimentation in it? I mean,
yeah, I don't think I laughed at all, if I may interject. I don't think I laughed at all when I watched it. And even the humor as a child, like I remember laughing, but like
Danny DeVito was the funny character when you're a kid. Now he's just annoying.
Now he's just annoying. I was gonna
say.
It
doesn't play well. It doesn't really
when you're a little
well
kid, he was the funny part of the movie.
All right, but now, and JJ, you have to do this too. You have to rate it 1 out of 10 man milkshakes.
I give it 6 on default.
6 milkshakes.
A 6-man milkshake.
Oh, I see what you did.
And that actually is my rating. I'd give this movie 6 out of 10.
6 out of 10 man milkshakes. What about you, JJ?
I'm gonna give it 5 Charlie Theron fat bellies.
He just went with a whole other rating system.
On a scale of 10, I'm gonna give it 5. 5 fat bellies.
What trimester is Charlie at in this picture? Or how many fucking beers has she drank in the last 12 months?
I think she's going for that Boggs record, bud. She's going for that Wade Boggs record. You know what I mean? Drinking 72 beers on one cross-country flight. That's what she's aiming for. Or he.
72.
That looks like a Bud Light.
You're not familiar with the legend of Wade Boggs? I think he ate a couple chickens there in the mix, too.
What's your rating?
I'm going to give it 4 out of 10 man
fat bellies,
and I'm gonna give it 2 out of 10 Corey Feldman Michael Jackson dances.
Yep.
So I came in at 6 and gave it the highest rating.
I give it 2 McCully sandwiches.
That's enough for one day.
Yeah.
They call that a double Culkin.
Double
Coke on one side, you got Kieran on the other. Just mash it together. Little Jacko in the middle.
And it was a okay movie. I liked doing the background research on it. I thought that it was interesting, the little stuff that they snuck in there. But as far as like a comedy,
yeah. You mean to tell me you're the son of a Nazi talking about Nazi genetic experiments in a comedy about aerospace and hood rat shit? Okay.
Yeah. I gotta say, so I married an axe murderer. I I don't know if I gave it a 10, but that's a 10 for me. Like, I thought it was hilarious.
I appreciate y'all being such a fan of that film. It's one of my favorites. It's very integral in my early teenage conspiracy culture mindsets.
It's almost like that was Mike Myers' warm up to Wayne's World and then Austin Powers. Like, he got some creative control, even though it wasn't that smooth. And
he did. He fought to rewrite that entire script. That was all Mike Myers' script. He rewrote the whole thing and fought to stick with it. And there was a whole lawsuit because he actually didn't get credited for it. The original writer did, even though it was a whole change up. But whenever y'all come back again to join me here to get a little more GCD and maybe a Fridays here in the future, we can do some roundtables on these matters, because I looked into the stuff further, looking at all this Aquino and LaVey stuff. So the entire film, we talked about a little bit in the film review, but the entire film, because of the Presidio scene, but the entire film is focused in the North Beach neighborhood of San Francisco, where LaVey's from, where the Church of Satan started, right? And where Marilyn Monroe and Joe DiMaggio used to live, and where they used to hang out with Anton LaVey.
That's so fucking wild.
Yep.
And then in the Diddy trial, it comes out that Mike Myers is CIA. What the fuck?
What the fuck?
Like, of course, but why? Why did that come out during the Diddy trial? Because he couldn't be interviewed?
Yes, sir.
He couldn't.
Appreciate Todd. Yeah, I thought that was weird too, dude. But like, let's be honest, dude. All these people are part of the same kind of Iran-Contra franchise. Even these music executives and stuff, and film executives, no different, because they're encapsulated the same network of money laundering, etc. For example, the fellow that's in charge of MCA, who's largely in the background of all this Britney Spears nonsense. I know Julia knows what I'm talking about. He's deeply involved in Iran-Contra.
Fuck that.
Yeah. Perhaps we can put a pin in that for a future discussion, because I know you like your Britney Spears stuff over there, Julia.
Well, and then you get the Scientologists making the movie about Bobby Seale, just to add that to it. Because
that just helps shitcoat the matter when they make some shit up in there with Tom Cruise. Don't get me wrong. I like to watch Tom Cruise. He plays a really good tall guy who knows how to fight, but that is a fucking terrible retelling of that story.
He knows how to fight, but he doesn't
look at Enemy State. Well, I mean, dude, I saw him fight 5 dudes at one time in Jack Reacher.
Yeah, but if you try to put him in a fucking sex scene with his real wife in real life, he doesn't know what to do.
Are you talking about Eyes Wide Shut?
Let's be honest, dude.
Yeah.
That's a homosexual, man. Let's be honest about the
exactly.
situation.
I say he could play a guy that fights in a movie, but every love scene he did looked like
there we go. He plays a straight guy. He plays a straight tall guy and knows how to fight real well. I like the analysis there. That's a good movie, though, Jack Reacher. It's got some real deep parapolitical shit in there, too. Again, it's these Scientologists making these deep parapolitical films, which interests me, because Enemy of the State, that's a full-blown Scientology production, chock full of all sorts, almost the entire full cast of Scientologists.
Gene Hackman?
Yeah. Well, he's my number. Speaking of northern, New Mexico and weird deaths, Gene Hackman's as weird as shit. No one really talks about that. He's my number one pick for secret Scientologists. Look, there's only so many times you can star opposite, Tom Cruise, John Travolta, and Dennis Hopper before I'm going to start asking processing and Scientology questions about you.
Yeah, Hoosiers, classic.
I love Hoosiers, dude.
Yeah,
I haven't.
I used to watch Hoosiers before every basketball game in high school just to get all ramped up. I watched the end of Hoosiers to get ramped up for some basketball.
That'll do it.
And I'd also smoke a doobie. That would help me out too. Yeah, I couldn't play without smoking because I shot a lot better, dude. It's amazing. It's funny. I realize why the NBA doesn't drug test for pot. You know what I mean? Because otherwise
they lose half. Yeah,
they wouldn't make nearly as many shots, dude. I'll tell you that much. I used to make a lot of shots when I'd smoke a doobie before
half
a game.
Those
dude.
fuckers would retire if they had to drug test.
I'm just saying, dude. I used to play a lot. You're locked in, dude. I'm just telling you.
Oh yeah, anything like that. Pool, darts, basketball.
Yeah.
I had a cousin who was damn good at basketball, and he told me he never played a game sober. Just like
I wouldn't say never. I was a 3-point champ at all the Air Force bases I was stationed at, but I was sober then. But I shot a lot better if I had some doobies in me. Get a couple doobies in me. I'd start. Dude, I just I'm out there. Just balling it up. But no, Hoosiers was definitely dude. Dennis Hopper and Gene Hackman in that. It's fantastic.
Yeah.
Is it a comedy?
Classic.
Oh, it's like a family sports movie.
Ow.
It's a legendary family sports film about the an
Legendary.
underdog basketball team from Milan, Indiana. Was it Milan?
You know what's better than
Was?
that is the Pistol Pete movie that didn't get as big.
Pistol Pete Maravich. He's a legend.
That was a good movie.
Yeah, that was a
Played
good
the
one.
all-black school there at the end and missed the layup at the end.
How about
Spoiler.
Gene Hackman in the shit coating of the French Connection? What are your thoughts on that one?
You know, that movie I need to watch again because I went to film school. I watched it there. My dad loved the movie. And now that I know all the fucking shit that really happened
Huge.
with that, I need to watch it again
Yeah.
because it would be like
Yeah.
the first time all over again.
I'd like to hear your thoughts when you rewatch it because that movie was huge, dude. That was what 72. That was an enormous film, dude. And
Yeah,
we
that
look
was-
back now, and it really shit coat the whole subject matter, in my opinion.
Kind of would expect that. But
Yeah.
yeah, it's kind of like similar themes almost with Polanski's movie. What the fuck? Chinatown. With
Oh, yes.
Nicholson there.
Old Cocaine Bob.
Oh, was he involved in that?
Oh, absolutely. He greenlit
Producer?
that film. Absolutely.
Really?
He was a green.
Okay.
Well, he was the head of Paramount. Robert Towne, the writer, is his little writing sidekick.
So between you and JJ, I'm gonna have a pretty decent taste in movies. Because anytime Colby's like, you have to watch this movie, and I'm like, I don't want to watch it. That one with Joaquin Phoenix.
Yeah, Inherent Vice.
Inherent
I made
Vice.
her watch that, and then like 2 days later, you brought it up to her. I was like, oh fuck,
Oh,
but she's
dude.
glad she watched that now.
Yeah, and Confessions of a Dangerous Mind.
One of my favorite movies
Yeah,
ever made. Too.
great film.
Yeah. George Clooney.
Inherent Vice
good
is
for
by.
one thing.
Tom. What's that?
I said George Clooney is good for only one thing, and it was that movie.
Well, George Clooney's wife wasn't good for much when she was Julian Assange's attorney, but that's a horse of a slightly different color, I suppose. But
Current wife.
your current wife, correct? Yes. Yeah, she was Julian Assange's attorney. She quit when he released all the Podesta emails.
Well, that kind of was a conflict of interest when his butt buddy's Barack.
Well, and you got to think, Pamela Anderson was one of the few folks visiting Julian Assange in the Ecuadorian embassy for about 6 years, and she's suddenly back on the scene now in these films, right?
Yeah, she's hooking up with Liam Neeson.
Yep.
I
But no,
guess that's all there is.
Thomas Pynchon is one of my favorite authors, and then Paul Thomas Anderson, and despite him, I think, being a secret Scientologist, one of my favorite directors and filmmakers there. But Inherent Vice, dude, like that's probably my favorite. It's easily my favorite film in the last like 20 years by far.
Yeah, I say
really like
it's top 5 for me of all time.
And see, Colby makes me look cool in front of JJ, knowing all these movies and stuff. Like I just watch cool shit all the time,
Well,
but actually, I'm like not.
You've seen a lot of fucking crazy shit I haven't seen.
I'm definitely going to be doing another film review of Inherent Vice because I just love it that much. I mean, I've done one in the past with the Recluse over at the farm, but
You've
Wait for
worked
Card.
with that guy's fucking awesome. Recluse.
Recluse is no, dude. Me and Recluse been on some strange adventures. We've had some high movies
nice.
I
love his
in our
podcast.
travels.
That podcast should be way bigger than it is.
What's it called?
I'm a
called-
big fan. I'm a big fan.
Mhm.
We've met over matters of the Society of the Cincinnati, and we've been on a few journeys in regards to that. But we had a really weird experience about 2 years ago at Serpent Mound here in Ohio. We ate a bunch of shrooms, and then suddenly got somehow lost or time warped in some place called Belfast, Ohio. Never heard of the town. And we found a night of Pythias Hall. So when we're taking photos, me, him, and our dude Ed and Doc Inferno, and we're taking some photos in front of this place. And I give the locals howdy, and they were not too kind to me. I gave them a nice Appalachian hello there, folks. We're friendly, and we're just taking photos in front of this Knights of Pythias Lodge. It looks like it's in shambles, but apparently it's still in operation. We go into the local country store next, and then come out, and then we have a literal two groups of dudes circling around our shit in the car in the parking lot. And
Sounds
I
like
was
Easy Rider.
dude, and again, 3 out of the 4 of us were all on shrooms. I was supposed to be giving directions to Ed. He was driving. He was a sober one. I don't know that worked out. I told them guys, I said, just maintain contact with the car, keep walking, and get in the car as fast as you can. Get the fuck out of here. But they didn't like that little town for whatever reason got super butthurt. We literally took one photo like in front of this Knights of Pythias lodge because it was an interesting old building, and
that lodge is probably the only
town.
reason that town exists.
Right.
You
ain't kidding, dude.
Pissing on a sacred.
You ain't kidding, dude. And we inadvertently got there because I gave Ed the wrong directions when we left Serpent Mound that day. But
there is no inadvertently.
That's what I'm saying, dude.
But
then we all went to the Amish market and enjoyed some pies afterwards, and thankfully we got out of there safely.
That's one thing that Ohio is good for. I took Colby to Ohio to visit my family in Amish country. I didn't get to stop by one of the little Amish stores, but they have the best everything.
Yeah, apparently we were 2 inches away from Pennsylvania.
Yeah. My family.
Dude, if you don't stop by an Amish stand for some delicious pies, dude, you're not doing it right. You're just not doing it right.
I wish I would have. They were so the ones that were by my house, they had like homemade egg noodles and butter and milk and pies and like charcuterie boards and like all this shit. Honestly, I could live just off of the Amish.
They do food right. They just don't wash their hands.
Yeah.
You ever seen them build something, dude? I watched them build. They built a barn in my buddy's dad's farm a number of years back, and I watched that go down. Well, a number of years. I was like 16, a number of years back, and I was like, holy shit! Literally, dude, there was just like a swarm of Amish folks invaded the farm, and then like an hour later, there was a barn. I'm like, this is.
They're like white Mexicans.
Dude, it was impressive, dude.
Her cousin,
they're picking up a frame and carrying the frame, dude. Like all of them together. I'm like, that's impressive, guys.
Yeah, they're like ants.
That's impressive.
Do you remember when Brittany told you about the?
Yeah, her cousin's married to a dude, and when he builds shit, he just goes out and hires Amish people to help him.
They put his garage together.
That's a thinking man.
His semi truck in a day.
Yeah,
the
nice little shop.
Yeah, in a day.
I like that's a man who uses his brain hole for something other than a paperweight, and I like it. Well, I appreciate you all joining me here. Have you got any closing statements or final or last words before we go?
Maybe in about a year we should get together and do Junior.
I like it.
Or sooner, but at some point
we'll get some more. I'm definitely looking forward to the Halloween stuff, but we'll definitely I'm looking more for. I mean, I would like to do Junior, but that Inherent Vice is it's going to be on top of my brain hole because again, it's dude. I've read that book so many times. I've watched that movie so many. I'll start quoting the movie right here, dude. Watch out.
I never read the book, so maybe I should do that before we do our review.
There you go. All right. Well, on that note, folks in the interwebs, thanks for joining us, and catch you next time. Maybe.
Well, that's it. That's the show here, folks. So the next time you're out on the town, visiting your local watering holes, or perhaps just meandering around, and you hear the unmistakable sounds of metal clanking, and you spot signs of a disturbance, but check your six. Look in that garbage can, because you never can tell. The GCDs may be loose in your town.